Good evening, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to the Two Mics, and we're back from our sabbatical, and we're talking football. I'm well rested from 2 weeks in the sun, despite Porky hijacking my holiday in Mallorca. He's been keeping an eye on all the transfer activity, the new refereeing rules, and David Moyes' horrible start to his new job at Sunderland. We'll be talking about Mick McCarthy's rant against the fans, Arsene Wenger's latest problems, and of course, Team GB's brilliant performance in Rio. And we want your calls as well, 08717 223344. Also coming up on the show, there's a Porky sermon, because it is Sunday evening after all. Another round of heroes and villains, and all the usual serious journalism as well. You're listening to the Two Mics with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. We are back after a couple of weeks away, or at least a couple of weeks away from me. I understand Porky was on the airwaves as much as ever, but it is time to say a very good evening to you, Mr. Parry, and welcome to an 8 to 11 p.m. slot on a Sunday evening.
Well, very good.
Very nice to see you.
Very nice to see you, Mike. Good evening to you. Glad you got back safely from your holiday.
Yes, I did.
Resent a little bit the fact that you say I came and hijacked your holiday.
Well,
what
I mean, I wasn't expecting it, really, was I?
Well, you weren't expecting me, but then I realised that your energy levels were down a little bit, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't exactly like we've been expecting you, Mr. Bond.
No, that's right, no.
Certainly wasn't like anything like Mr. Bond.
No,
really.
It wasn't really, and that knock on the
turned
door...
up in this kind of ridiculously shabby old cab from Mallorca Airport.
Well, yeah, but that's not my fault. You know, I don't make cabs in Mallorca, you know what I mean? And I couldn't find the VIP car leasing thing.
Didn't the Porky Jinx also hit the plane, by the way?
Oh, it was incredible. It was incredible. Trying to get off the plane, I thought, I'm really going to, surprise these people. Get off this plane, jump in a car, and I'll be with them in an hour. I knew where you're going, I knew which restaurant you're going to.
Yeah. We'll get into how you found that out later.
Exactly. I worked that one out. And then the guy at Mallorca Airport, Palmer Airport, by the way, is so busy. I mean,
it's a great airport, though.
In August, a plane takes off and lands every 3 minutes. It's amazing. Because the hotel I stayed in after I'd had lunch through that day, which very hard to get a hotel room, by the way, in August in Palmer.
It certainly is.
But there's one room.
I was terrified you wouldn't be able to. You ended up staying at my luxurious villa.
It could have been the scene. But I had one room left in this 5-star hotel, and standing on the balcony there, late into the night, there was a plane going up every 3 minutes. It was amazing. The next morning, they started coming in at sort of 5:30. But anyway, point is, when I was standing in the queue of the plane, now, luckily, I was in business class, you see.
Business class?
So I was near the front.
From London to Mallorca?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Well, I just fancied it, Do you know who was on the plane and who wasn't in business class?
Who?
Steve McManaman.
Really?
Yeah. Now, Steve...
What, you mean you were in business class and there was a curtain?
Yes.
And he was on the other side of the curtain?
Well, he came walking through the curtain. You see, I'm a bit of a snob, and I think in business class...
Have you a bit of a snob?
Yeah, well, no.
I've never heard that.
In business class, I'm thinking...
Was there anyone else in business class, just you?
There was 8 seats. That was 2, 4, 6... No, there was 16 seats. Right. That was 4. It was 2 on either side, because they're only 2 wide, because a smaller plane coming out of City Airport in London, you know. And there were 9 people in there.
Right.
So there was definitely a spare seat.
Okay.
Now, what happened was, amazingly, the curtains opened, and this very tall chap with long wavy hair strolled through to use our loo, which I took
How
offence
was he dressed?
to.
Was he wearing a suit? Or
No. He had a casual shirt on and, ordinary...
Because I'm used to seeing him on TV.
Casual trousers, sure. Well, we all are, yeah. So, anyway, I thought, that looked remarkably like Steve McManaman, And so, anyway, he used the loo, a few minutes, came out, and he walked back. But he wasn't making eye contact with anybody for, the obvious reasons now. And I thought that...
Well, certainly wouldn't make it with you.
No, he certainly wouldn't make it with me, no. And I thought...
you'd been lavishing it up in the business class lounge on the way, had you?
No, they don't have a business class lounge at City Airport.
How disappointing.
They have one in no, it is very disappointing. They have one in Palmer, in Mallorca, on the way back, but not there.
Right.
So anyway... when I eventually got this, knackered old cab that you're talking about to get me up to the restaurant, I said to the driver, who was a big football fan, I said, who do you support then? He said, Real Madrid, I said, that's amazing. I said, because you know what? I think I saw Steve McManaman on my aeroplane.
But didn't you complain about the fact that somebody from Economy was using your toilet?
Yes, I did, yeah.
And what did the steward say?
They said, very sorry, we'll tie the curtain so they can't get through again, or something like that, you know what I mean? So anyway, the taxi driver said, yes, he says, Steve McManaman, your hero, because he won the European Cup twice with Real Madrid.
Well, there was that very funny, or some might say offensive comment that was made after he was carrying the cup around, wasn't there?
What was that?
Was it Ron Atkinson?
Well, was that? I didn't realise.
Yeah, I think he had to be taken off the air.
Oh, did he?
Because of something he said.
Oh dear, I don't know.
No,
about
I remember that.
But no.
I better not repeat it.
No. But anyway, so the driver said, "Oh yes, he lives here." And I said, "Who? Steve McManaman?" He said, "Yes, he lives here." He
in
said,
Mallorca.
Yeah, Mallorca. I said, he said, "I know where his house is. He's got a big house here. He comes here all the time." He said he lives here.
Why didn't you go and ruin his holiday instead of mine?
Yeah, I should have gone and ruined his holiday. Should have said to the taxi driver, "Take me to Steve McManaman's house." But anyway. The reason I'm telling you all this is getting off the plane.
I don't know why. Have you seen the time?
No, it was a fiasco. What happened was, when you land and you're in a smaller plane and you're not using the apron.
You're coming down the step.
Mobile steps are driven out on the back of a lorry.
And you have to walk down onto the tarmac
and get on a bus.
I quite like walking down the tarmac.
Yes.
As long as you don't have to get on a bus. I hate those buses.
No, I have to get on a bus, I'm afraid. So anyway,
so you're going business class. You must have hated this, right? Because you have to get. There's no separate business class bus. Is there?
No, there isn't. No.
So you have to get on with the hoi polloi.
I had to get on with the Great Unwashed, I'm afraid. Yeah,
shocking.
But anyway, so the guy who's driving the truck with the steps on the back, right? He drives up to the plane and just nudges it gently because there's like a buffer type thing to stop him wrecking the plane as he drives into
Family
it.
has a lot of buffers.
Yeah, lovely. And then nothing clicked. Something was supposed to click. It didn't click.
Right.
So then the guy on the inside...
Has there not been cases of people driving into the train, plane, like damaging it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So then the lady on the inside, she's sort of waving at them like that and saying it hasn't clicked, because there's two bolts apparently you have to click in. So he backs off like quite a long way, at which stage I'm looking through the porthole and I can see that the front wheel of his truck has fallen off. No joking. And so he drives forward
it's literally on the ground.
It's fallen off.
Right.
It's fallen off. It's gone. So he's driving back up to the plane this time with one wheel on the left-hand side, but no wheel on the right.
Is he going around in circles then?
No, but he literally only had three wheels on his wagon.
Right.
And naturally, he didn't realise, for someone, I don't know how you can realise you haven't got a wheel, but it meant that
Obviously not a Mercedes.
Not a Mercedes, but every time he hit the plane, of course, the bolts weren't going in because one was 4 inches lower than the other because it was lopsided. So then I started banging on the window and waving at him, to try and,
they can't hear anything, soundproof.
Oh, I know, but, I was making, circles with my finger and, El Folofo, and all this kind of stuff, wheels gone.
So you were trapped on the plane?
Trapped on the plane, and then eventually they cottoned on and somebody went away and got another set of steps and we got off. But, I mean, it's all a bit of a nuisance. But anyway, we got there in the end.
Well, we'll talk about the trip that you made, which was actually very amusing, and we did have some business to conduct, actually, which was the main reason you came out.
Yes.
But there was an awful lot of business conducted. But if you want to see a video of Mike Parry diving into my swimming pool, you can go to our Facebook page. It's been put out on the Twitter page already.
Yes.
And since the Rio Olympics are on, and of course we've won so many gold medals,
I've had a lot of
opposite.
I've had a lot of compliments for that.
Belly flop of the year, I think they're calling it.
No, it was a swallow dive.
Never seen anybody going in with their feet and their arms at the same time.
No, it was a swallow dive, and I have to have a lot of complimentary responses.
There was a lot of swallowing going on before the dive.
There was a lot of swallowing going on before the dive, you're right. But a lot of very complimentary responses to my ability to dive.
Right? Now, coming up in this hour, we're going to talk a bit of football. Philip O'Clair is going to join us because he was at the new stadium, West Ham's new stadium, the London Stadium, as it's been called.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if you saw the game, but when you see the sort of artificial grass behind the goal and along the side of the pitch...
You're discovering the running track.
Yeah, covering the running track. It looks sort of okay at first, but after you watch it for a while, you realise actually there's quite a lot of it.
Oh, there's a lot of it,
And so we want to ask him what it's actually been like to be at the stadium.
Well, also...
so we should ask West Ham fans, shouldn't we, if they were there, how much they enjoyed it, whether it was anything like what they expected.
I'd like to hear from them, because also one of the lads put out, I think it's John Cross, who does a lot of work with us here at TalkSport.
He does.
Put out a picture which showed, actually, there is a walkway which is suspended across a gaping chasm.
Chasm?
Chasm.
Chasm?
A chasm. A chasm.
Yeah. Chasm is like a name, isn't it?
Yeah, between where the sort of official stand ends and then there's an extension onto where they have to put the temporary seating, you know what I mean?
Right.
To cover the running track.
Yeah, well, that's the bit I don't get, because presumably there's temporary seating that comes so far, but then there's this artificial grass.
Yes, well, I mean, I don't think the temporary seating completely covers the running track.
Right, so is that it? It's not going to change then?
Well, it'll change if there's an athletics event.
No, I mean, but for the football, that's what it's going to look like.
I think that's it, yeah.
Because the thing that was foxing me was as you were watching when I watched the guy getting sent off, right?
Yes.
The referee's running alongside the play.
Yeah.
It looks like he's playing. Because behind him, there's a whole sort of stretch of green grass.
Yeah, I know.
And it looks as if he's in the middle of the pitch rather than actually on the touchline.
Yeah,
it's quite off-putting.
I suppose I'll get used to it in the end. But, I mean, that was the one fear. The distance of the pitch to the spectators would interfere with the atmosphere. But, I mean, from people I've heard so far, it didn't.
Right.
And the other thing is, the pitch is so much bigger. I think, did I hear that it's 5 yards longer and 4 yards wider?
You may have done, I don't know.
Yeah, I've
been away, as you know.
I think it is, yeah.
I mean, it looks like Wembley when you're looking at it on TV.
Yes, it does,
basically.
Yeah.
Well, we want to hear from West Ham fans if you were there. Was it good? Was it as you would have expected it to be?
Your voice?
I don't know, I'm just out of practice.
You've been abusing it, haven't you, on holiday?
No, I've not been. I've been resting it, actually.
Oh, no, yeah.
I've been resting my voice.
You haven't been resting the area of your body which covers your vocal cords, your throat.
Well, I've been lubricating it quite substantially, that's true. 08717 22 33 is the number. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics.
They call it madness. Madness.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. We're here until 11 o'clock. It's going to be a roaring ride. You're going to hear tales of bladderation. I don't think you're going to hear any tales of rogerisation. It's a bit early in the evening for that sort of thing.
No, thank you.
And personally, I like to keep some parts of my holiday secret.
Yes, of course.
To be honest. I've got a great tweet here, by the way, and it's from somebody calling himself Northern Monkey.
Right.
But it's a tweet that went out from somebody else, which says, and it's been addressed to Karen Brady and David Gold, Block 214, row 73, no seats, not happy. And it's a picture, as you can see, of people standing watching
incredible.
the West Ham game in what looks like an old-fashioned terrace where there should be seats, but in fact there aren't any. Yeah. And luckily we've got Simon, who's a West Ham fan, who's going to talk to us about what the atmosphere was like and whether he's heard anything about this seating scenario. Simon, a very good evening to you.
Good evening. Well, the atmosphere, the ground itself, it's not bad. There's not. I was just about to say there's not a bad seat in the ground, but obviously there is if there aren't any there.
Well, technically that's not a bad seat. It's just no seat.
It's just no seat. Yeah.
Yeah, but however, the thing that was absolutely ruined the whole experience. It's the third game I've been to there now. Was trying to get into Westfield afterwards to something to eat with family members.
Yeah.
And being treated like animals.
In.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it's not feasible to let thousands of people stroll through a shopping centre after a game, but there were people in wheelchairs. There was a woman that obviously was in distress, and they were just total thugs, treating us all with contempt.
Well, hang on. How can they keep you out of there? It's a shopping centre which attracts customers. How do they define between customers and football fans? A football fan can be a customer.
Well, yeah, they can, and apparently my daughter went there and spent a fortune before the game. But coming out afterwards, you come across these signs that say, pointed towards the station. Well, I don't want to go to the station. My family's inside having a meal, and I want to join them.
Yeah.
And they tell you lies about where you're going to go, and then people were trying to get through these barriers.
Yeah.
And they were just... Well, I sort of, they were manhandling people, which was
really
that's an assault.
Yeah. And obviously we don't know necessarily who's employed these people, but I mean Westfield's open as a general rule until quite late in the evening, isn't it?
10 o'clock, I think.
Yeah, you could get in. Apparently, if you wanted to wait around an hour or an hour and a half after the game, or you could sneak.
Simon's gone.
We're losing you there, Simon.
Thanks,
thanks
Simon,
very much indeed for calling in. I wanted to ask him but we'll get another caller on to tell us about, what it feels like to be on the seating side of all of that sort of fake grass that's around the outside.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks very pretty. Although I also noticed that they've done that thing that a lot of stadiums suffer from, where they've got the big shadow cast across the pitch.
Yeah, well, they can't do anything about that, can you?
Well, I don't know if you can.
Everything you could do is reconstruct the roof so that you deflect the sun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it comes from, isn't it? So shadows come from.
Yeah, but I mean, what it is, though, it's because it's kind of slatted, if you like.
Yes.
It's kind of, I would think, a bit confusing if you're a player. It's not just dark and light.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's like you're behind bars of a prison.
The terrible dilemma about a football ground is if you circle it with concrete and metal and all that kind of stuff and you put roofs over the seating, you may deprive the pitch of sunlight and wind and rain.
Yes.
And that deteriorates. When Newcastle United built
that's the problem they've got in the Millennium Stadium.
Yeah, it is the problem they've got. When Newcastle built their huge new stand behind one of the goals, about 4 or 5 games into the following season.
This is the one that'd be a stone's throw from the Shark Bar, right?
Stone's throw from the Shark Bar, literally, just across the road from the Sharks Bar, right? And what they had to do is, after 4 or 5 games, they found that the grass on 1/3 of the pitch was dying. So they took the roof off and replaced it with see-through panels.
Really?
So that the sunlight actually got through. I mean, I would have thought that would have stopped the actual, the actual...
Did you notice I had some solar panels at my villa?
I did, actually, yeah. Where were they?
Well, they were off to the side of the pool. They were just
that's right. Yeah, I wondered what they were at first.
It was the only thing that made any noise. It was very, very quiet there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, right? There was no houses around.
Oh, yeah, it was lovely, yeah.
And the only noise that you could occasionally hear was the generator sort of whirring.
That's right.
As it sucked in the power from the sun.
Oh, I see. Right, okay. I tell you what was interesting about your villa as well. The swimming pool was full of water that was saline.
The swimming pool was full of water? Not after you jumped in it, was it?
Well, yeah, no, of course it was, you idiot. But it was full of water that was saline rather than chlorine.
Well, yeah, apparently this is a new thing.
I like this.
Yes.
I liked it.
Well, apparently it's a brand new villa, right? It's only built last year.
Right.
And one of the things they've now worked out is that chlorine is so bad for you.
Right.
And it's amazingly bad for your hair. And I know you don't have any, but I mean, I worry about my hair. Because when I was in the other, because we had another villa for the first week, and my hair was like straw.
Yes.
Absolutely just horrendously like straw.
Well, it's been like straw for quite a few years now.
But coming out of this saline solution, and it's vaguely salty, and it sort of fizzes when you jump in.
Yes.
Like jumping into a big bowl of tonic water.
Yes, that's right.
Quite a nice feeling.
Yeah,
and you didn't feel at all as if you'd been chemicalised.
No, over the years, I mean, you remember jumping in swimming pools and all you can feel is chlorine going up your nose and into your throat, and it's quite unpleasant.
Right, absolutely right. Now, we've got another caller here, Jack, who's a West Ham fan.
Great.
He was at the game. He's going to tell us what the distance from the pitch to the fans actually is.
Yeah.
Jack, a very good evening to you.
How's it going?
Yeah, very
Jack,
well, mate.
going well, thanks.
What was it? I mean, I'm looking at it on TV, and I know that's not a very good way to judge. It was a strange thing where it looked like the linesman's kind of in the game, and he's a million miles away from the rest of the people. Do you know what I mean?
No, I'll be honest with you, mate. I was in the upper tier there, and I thought it was a fantastic view. I've been to Wembley recently, and I thought it was a lot better view than I had at Wembley, to be honest. I was quite surprised. I've been hearing a lot of negative things about how far away it was, but I had no problems whatsoever.
Well, I mean, bound to be more entertaining than you see at Wembley, to be honest, Jack.
Well, watch Plymouth Argyle get beat there, so it was a lot better than that, to be honest.
Okay, did you have any problems with the atmosphere compared to Upton Park, which of course was a cosy and a cosy ground built on the pitch with an intention really to intimidate visiting players?
Well, yeah, I think it's hard because if you're comparing it with Upton Park, it's never going to be the same because you haven't got that atmosphere. You're never going to get that, but. I mean, as far as the atmosphere is concerned, I thought it was great. I had no issues with that. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, really loud today. I thought it was brilliant, to be honest. Really good atmosphere.
Okay.
And I think it was a bit edgy, to be honest, because obviously we needed the win, so I felt everyone was a bit edgy, but the atmosphere was great.
And have you heard anything about this business of seats not actually being in place yet?
That's right.
I mean, there is a picture that I've seen, and because Twitter is Twitter, you can't always tell if it's genuine. I'm assuming it is genuine, but I mean, have you heard about maybe people turning up to get the seat to find it's not there?
Well, yeah, I saw a picture from the game, the European game we had the other week, and they seem to have changed a bit since then. They put some covers over the big open spaces, which we all knew. The stadium's new, and this using the retractable seats, you're going to have the issues like that. But I mean, it is what it is. I think it's a fantastic stadium, and I think we're very privileged to be able to play there, to be honest.
I agree. I mean, look, you go into any new stadium, you're going to have teething problems, mate, and they'll get rid of them, so it's not a problem.
Absolutely right. We've got a Bournemouth fan on now who's called Nick.
Excellent.
He was there. He's going to tell us what the away end is like. Nick, very good evening to you.
Evening, how you doing?
Yeah, we're doing well, Nick.
Very
thanks,
well.
Yeah.
Not a great result, I'm afraid, for Bournemouth, but you got a man sent off, and what was it like?
The atmosphere, I thought the stadium was great. I thought the atmosphere was great. I didn't think there was an issue. We were row 14, so quite near the front. I didn't think there was an issue with the distance from behind the goal.
Mm-hmm.
There was a little bit of a gap from us and the back of the goal, but I didn't think it caused us an issue. I think the main issue, distance-wise, is down the sides.
Yeah.
Down, from where the managers are. The technical area is massive. It's about a 30-yard walk for the managers.
Yeah, okay. 30-yard walk from where to where?
from the edge of the pitch back to their...
I see. So that's the great expanse of grass that my colleague was talking about.
What, you mean the actual the dugout? Because I was watching the managers, and it did seem like they were quite a way back at one point from what was actually going on.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you'll get used to that, you see, because it's only strange because Upton Park
he's a Bournemouth fan.
Yeah.
He needs to get used to it.
Well, no, the West Ham fans will get used to it.
Yeah, but he's only going to go there once.
Yeah, but the away fans don't need to get used to it.
He's not going to go back there.
No, what do you mean he's not going to go back?
Well, he's not going to go back there this season, is he?
No, of course he's not going to go next season, isn't he? But it doesn't matter what the away fans think. They don't have to live there.
Oh, sorry, Nick. Thanks for calling in. Doesn't matter what you think, apparently.
No. Of course it matters what you think, Nick, but it doesn't... What I'm saying is it doesn't affect your life if the ground is not to your suiting. And by the way, we'll be down at Bournemouth this season again, probably, Nick. And
you and I?
We'll be in the Bubbles Bar.
Oh, right.
Interesting. Can I just make one other quick point?
Of course.
Please.
There was quite a few comments from fans saying that there was concerns that the away fans or the home fans could mix and get into the away end. I didn't personally see that. But obviously, the West Ham fans at the end were saying they need to sort that out before the likes of Chelsea and Tottenham come, because they could generally get in there with no problem at all.
Right.
Well, I'm sure they'll have a look at that. As I say, every new ground's going to have teething problems, and I'm sure it'll be stewarded properly and all that kind of stuff. And I do like to think, well, I don't know whether I'm fooling myself these days, that actually our domestic hooligan problem has largely gone away.
Well,
I hope.
You'd like to think that, but I mean, of course, there was the incident at West Ham with Man United's coach, and I mean, there have been problems.
Yeah,
with
I was
Chelsea
outside the ground, but I mean, you're right.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a problem. Now, we've got loads more coming out. We're going to get a Porky sermon from you later on, because it is Sunday, and some of you may have gotten all this way through the day and into the evening without having had any spiritual guidance. So Porky will communicate a passage of the good book to you. We'll also do a bit of heroes and losers. Not heroes and losers.
No,
heroes and villains.
Heroes and villains, that's right.
Maybe we should do heroes and losers. I don't know.
No, heroes and villains.
We need to come up with a new kind of a thing, don't we, for the new season? But
heroes and villains is a relatively new competition.
Is that okay for you? And then we'll get Chamber
in the closed season.
Then we should get Chamber to judge it again.
Get Chamber to judge it, and also there are issues we can talk about. Shirt pulling, which our good colleague Ray Stubbs was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And Diego Costa should have been sent off in both the games.
Yeah, but I mean,
in Chelsea,
Diego Costa plays the way he plays, right? And sometimes he gets sent off and sometimes he doesn't.
Yeah, but you see, it's a refereeing issue that the bigger name the player, the more difficult it is sometimes to make your mind up on a dodgy decision.
But he's been sent off, hasn't he? Plenty of times.
No, he's had the benefit of the doubt in 2 games this season, which could have rendered Chelsea without their leading striker and down to 10 men.
But that's
he had
why
a significant part in the victory in both games.
But isn't that why he plays the way he plays? Because he knows exactly that he can get away with certain things. Well, and I mean, I take my hat off to him for being able to do that.
I don't know if it's a good thing. And by the way, I have a new set of heroes.
Do you?
Yeah, it's the England ladies hockey team.
Ladies hockey.
Yeah, have you seen them?
No, I haven't actually. I've been away. Did you not know? I've been away. You know what? I've missed almost everything from the Olympics.
Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me.
I put the Olympics on in Spain, and I ended up watching the women's basketball.
Yes.
For about 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's
very good. Then I went back out to the pool.
But the English ladies.
What's the captain's name?
The captain's name. She's carrying the flag tonight. She's carrying the flag.
What's her name?
Well, it doesn't matter what her name is. No, do you know why it doesn't matter what her name is?
Because you don't know.
No, it's not that. It's just I don't want to single out individuals.
Is that right?
It's a team game. But in fact, the lady who caught my attention is a marvellous girl with a very expansive and beautiful face and dark hair.
Expansive and beautiful face? What does that mean?
Well, it means that expression when she won. What
has what she looks like got to do with it?
Well, because she radiates...
activity.
No, she radiates energy. She radiates energy.
Right.
And, here, look, I'll show you this picture.
Look
at that energy of those girls. They've won and they're running across the pitch and they're all smiling and waving.
They're wearing red. It's not your favourite colour.
No, it's not a favourite colour, but it is one of our national colours, and they beat the Netherlands, who are the world's best team. So they've become my current heroes.
Have they?
Yeah, or
how about heroines?
Yeah, heroines.
All right, well, we'll get to more of that later on, because you've already blundered about on the Olympics in my absence on many occasions, sometimes on alternative radio stations as well. This is Talk Sport with the 2 mics.
That boy needs therapy. Psychosomatic. That boy needs therapy. Psychosomatic. That boy needs therapy. Lie down on the couch. What does that mean? You're a nut.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. We're here until 11 p.m, of course, and lots more to talk about, including, as I said, Mick McCarthy, who I just mentioned there, who's had a bit of a rant of the fans, apparently,
he certainly has.
in the old farm derby, as they like to call it up there. It was 1-1, Ipswich-Norwich, right? And apparently he's getting fed up with all the fans having to go at him. He says, I get sick to death by this. We play one bad half, and we're all rubbish. That's not quite the word he used. And can't play. I can't play. The manager can't play. It's get somebody who cares. And then he says, I'm a boring bleep, which is another word we can't say. That's what somebody called me last week. He said, I wish they'd call it to my face on our own, because his pint of lager, he'd have been wearing it, let me tell you. You know, he's getting very wound up, is Mick McCarthy.
He is, yeah.
And he's on the breakfast show in the morning.
He is. He goes on to say, I'm not having that. All of a sudden we're great this week. No, we've got Preston on Saturday, and because they've not had a great start, everyone will be expecting us to win. After that, we'll all be great guys again. Yeah. So he's had a right old rant, and I think he's going to explain in full what his thinking is all about.
Do you think he's one of these guys? So you've talked about Roy Keane in the past being a man with a bit of a dark side and sort of explosive personality.
Yes.
I mean, Mick McCarthy's a bit like that, isn't he?
Well, funny enough, I mean, Mick McCarthy must have a sense of humour, because he made that record, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
And nobody could believe it was him, because he'd had his hair dyed, and he on the...
I can't remember. I remember seeing it. I remember seeing it on YouTube.
I've seen a video and all that. But he does... He comes over as a typical dour Yorkshireman. Yeah. I mean, you meet Yorkshiremen like that all the time if you go to Yorkshire, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're dour, and they live on hill farms mostly, and build dry walls, and get up at 4:30 in the morning when it's minus 6 degrees, and then moan about their lot.
And eat a lot of Eccles cakes.
No, Eccles cakes come from Eccles, which is in Lancashire.
Yeah, well, did they not eat them in Yorkshire then?
No, they eat Pontefract cakes, actually.
Do they?
Yeah, which is in Yorkshire.
All right, okay.
Yeah, they're made of licorice, by the way.
Yeah, I know they are.
And,
they're not really cakes at all.
No, they're not really cakes at all. And a lot of Yorkshire pudding and roast beef, obviously. Yeah. But no, I think he just comes over as that. But I I've met him a few times and done a few stories with him, that kind of stuff. And he's very affable in company, in private.
Would you call him a friend of yours?
No, I wouldn't call him a friend of mine. No.
Is he easy guys to get along with?
I don't know him that well, but I wouldn't say particularly easy. If
he doesn't seem like a guy that would be easy to get along with.
No, and he also seems the sort of guy who wouldn't take fools lightly, if you see what I mean. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's why I'm amazed that he spent any time talking to you at all.
Well, he does spend time talking to me. I mean, remember that we both live in the same town, don't we? Ipswich, you know. Well,
you don't live in Ipswich.
When
was the last time you were there?
Recently.
And by the way,
yes.
I thought you said you were going to go on holiday for 2 weeks, right? But what turns out happened is you came over to Mallorca for about a day and a bit.
Yeah, I did,
right?
actually. Yeah,
you went to Chester for about a day and a bit.
Yeah.
You went to see Everton playing Spurs in the opening game of the season.
Yes.
And that was it.
Well, no.
And then you were on the radio the rest of the time.
Well, no, the Chester thing was because I stayed there the night before I went to see Everton, and then came back the day after I'd seen Everton. You see what I mean? So that was just a visit to my hometown, so to speak. And by the way, it's still a lovely
I thought you were
town.
going to extend it, though. And also, you were meant to stay at the Grosvenor Hotel. What happened to that plan?
That plan faltered because of...
You couldn't get in?
Well, it wasn't that I couldn't get in. It was that I couldn't get in to a normal room, and what they wanted me to pay... Excuse me, for a suite was quite ridiculous.
Was it like how much? The thousands?
No, but over 600,
really?
so to speak, yeah. But it's a very nice hotel. I recommend everybody go and stay there at least once in their lives, like I have many times.
What, the Grosvenor?
The Grosvenor, yeah. Now, you're absolutely right. I did a bit of radio while you were away, and I did a show on another station, so to speak.
Yes.
And
you don't need to give them a plug.
No, I'm not going to give him a plug, no. And I got a lot of abuse.
But you got into a right old row, didn't you, about the Olympics and the canoeing?
Well, it was about
and
the canoeing.
Fact that,
it's about the
think
canoeing.
We're wasting money. But, I mean, you cannot possibly say that any money that is being spent currently on Olympic events is a waste of money, because look how well they've done.
But I haven't said that.
Well, you did say that.
I haven't said that.
You said that the canoeing guy came 12th.
Well, he came 12th
was basically
in the canoe
wasting
slalom.
everybody's money.
Well, I mean, it's just that...
How is he wasting money?
Well, because canoeing really is a hobby, and I object to hobbies that being made into international sports.
But the canoeists have won, 2 gold medals, a couple of silvers, and some bronze. I mean, the canoeists have done very well.
They've done very well indeed, but the guy came 12th in the slalom. I mean, I don't know what he does with his life. He's trained for 4 years to come 12th in the slalom.
Well, he probably had a bad day.
Yeah, listen to this, by the way. Listen to this.
What's his name, anyway?
Who?
The guy who came 12th.
I've no idea, because I'm not that interested. But here, let me tell you about canoeing, okay?
Yeah, go on.
Because I did a bit of research on this today. I thought you'd probably bring it up,
yeah.
And it says...
well, you might have done some research before you did the other show.
No, I did.
Instead
I did
of doing
plenty.
it before this one.
No. It says Liam Heath is a former cocktail maker who yesterday came up with an intoxicating gold medal mixture, okay?
Yeah, right.
Here, listen to this.
He's a canoeist.
Well, I'm about to tell you, aren't I? 7 years after shaking drinks at TGI Fridays, he is now, right, get the title they've given him, the fastest paddler on the planet.
That's brilliant.
The fastest
But that's great.
on the planet.
I mean, I don't think that's something to be proud of, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. It goes on to say... And last night, Heath will have been pouring booze down his own neck as he celebrated becoming Britain's most successful Olympic canoeist.
Right.
So,
well, that's brilliant, isn't it?
Imagine that. Imagine walking down Oxford Street one day or the High Street in Nottingham or Newcastle and just saying to people, did you know I am Britain's most successful ever canoeist?
Well, it's like saying you're the fastest runner in the world or the fastest cyclist in the world.
It's not.
Surely it is.
No, the most successful. I mean,
Well, what would you say when you walk down a high street? Look at me. I'm the most successful...
No.
what?
No. What I'm saying is, so it says here, his victory in the kayak single 200 metres. The kayak single 200 metres. You didn't know there was one.
Yeah, well, I mean, have you ever been in a kayak?
Yes, once.
When?
Once.
What, did they teach you how to do the roll?
No, I went to the YMCA because I joined the canoeing club. And
Why?
Well, because I wanted to see what it was like.
Why would you join a canoeing club? Did you have such sort of hatred of canoeists?
No, I wanted to see what canoeing was like. I thought, maybe I'll take this up as a hobby.
Now, what age were you when you did this?
Oh, about 14 or something.
14?
Yeah. I thought, I had this romantic vision of learning how to canoe.
Right.
And then canoeing like the length of the River Severn or something.
What, with some woman?
I don't know.
In the back?
I hadn't worked that out. I'd seen a lot of canoeing in sort of Western films.
They used to practice down in the Bath. You know the weir at Bath. Have you been to Bath?
Yes, I have.
The town of Bath.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You know where the covered bridge is?
Yes,
Pulteney Bridge.
yes, I do.
Well, there's a weir.
Well, this is what they do at Chester. Now, the thing is, this is why it's brought it back, because when I was at Chester, I went for a little walk around the Roman walls to get down to the River Dee, where the Boathouse restaurant and hotel is, which is very impressive these days, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and I walked past the weir, and all those poles hanging up.
That's right.
Because they
practice the slalom there.
the slalom and the poles and all that kind of stuff, right?
But it's very, very hard to do.
So anyway,
There's no way you could do any of that.
Your
arms aren't strong enough.
I found it boring. I thought, is this it? All you do is sit in this canoe and you just get, just paddle, and that's all you do.
What did you think it was going to be like?
Well, I thought it might be quite a bit more exhilarating, But anyway, it says here.
Yeah, but you can't do the slalom until you've learned how to canoe properly, because you have to learn. Yeah. Also, you have to learn the turn.
The roll.
When you roll down underneath, and if you go, because you have to be able to come back the other side.
Yeah, that's
otherwise
true.
you drown.
Well, that's absolutely true. So it says Heath's victory in the kayak single 200 metres. I mean, look at this. Completed his medal set. He won bronze in the double with John Schofield at London 2012, which they upgraded to a silver at the Lagoa Stadium on Thursday. So this guy hasn't actually got has he? A gold medal next year? Has he? So I see.
Done a lot of research on this.
Yeah. Anyway, the point is, he said he'd hung up his paddle while studying... Hung up his paddle? Isn't that a ridiculous statement? So he'd hung up his paddle while studying for a degree in industrial design and technology at Loughborough University.
That sounds like the one you were doing.
Yeah, that's right, a decade ago.
Right.
But now he's glad he got back in the boat. I mean,
it's a great British heroic story, isn't it?
Listen.
How is he worth any less than the hockey players?
Well, because I think canoeing is a hobby. Somebody
sent me a picture, by the way. Is that the captain you're talking about?
That might be
Sarah. I think her name is.
Is it Sarah? I'll find her name actually because I got a picture. It
was on the news.
Got a picture of her somewhere.
It was on the news.
On news.
On the news. The news that we just heard at 12:30.
Oh right, okay.
We do news every half an hour.
No, here I'll tell you who it is. It's this lady here because I actually take
a double-barreled name, isn't it?
I don't think so.
It is. Yeah.
No, hang on.
Yeah.
Right. Now then, hang on.
What have you been doing for the last 4 days? Yeah, I'll read you this in the meantime. Vicky says, I hope you'll be at the Leith San Siro this Saturday to watch the Cup winners Hibernian in action.
Really?
Because we'll be in Edinburgh on Saturday. You could go to Hibs game.
Oh, yeah, go to a Hibs game.
Have you been to Hibs Stadium?
No, I have not been to.
Easter Road.
Easter Road.
They're singing a Proclaimers song.
Oh, they
Sunshine on Leith.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Excellent. Now then, what I was going to say is...
I've seen the time.
You see, I think canoeing is... somebody's just taken a hobby and turned it into sport. Now, for instance, in Rio...
Yeah.
Rambling could have become an Olympic sport because they've got a big jungle. They can go and ramble around the jungle, right?
Not in Rio, they haven't.
Well, they've got one in Brazil.
Yeah, but the games are in Rio.
Yeah, but 1/3 of... That doesn't matter. Where do you think sailing took place? That didn't take place in Rio.
Well, it's just down the road, though.
Yeah, well, sometimes it takes place 200 miles away.
No, it wasn't like the World Cup. The World Cup, they were playing in Manaus. The World Cup, they were playing in Sao Paulo. But in the Rio Olympics, they just play it in Rio.
And as I said in the handover earlier on this station, why not bird watching? You know, that's a hobby.
Bird watching.
It's a hobby. They've got a big.
How can you win at bird watching?
Precisely. But I think
can't.
I think exactly the same as how can you win at canoeing?
You can win at canoeing by being quicker than everybody else.
Well, I just don't get it.
You can't watch birds quicker than everybody else.
Hang on. The more people follow bird watching than follow canoeing.
Well, fishing as well is a very popular sport, participation sport, but you can measure the number of fish you catch.
Yes, well, that's a good one.
Yeah, can you measure the number of birds you watch?
I think a sport is only a sport if people go and pay to watch it.
What?
Otherwise, it's not a sport.
Well, I don't believe
Whoever
that.
goes to watch the canoeing and pays to go to a stadium to watch canoeing.
Well, that many people pay to watch a lot of things that people do in the Olympics.
Well, they do. You know, even things like judo and karate and fencing and all that. People actually go and watch it.
You know people are going to pay to watch fencing.
Well, they go to watch it. They go to an arena and watch the guys.
Yeah, I'm talking about outside of the Olympics. When was the last time you paid to go and watch fencing?
Well, nobody pays to go and watch fencing outside the Olympics, but you know, people.
Well, people pay to watch canoeing in the Olympics.
No,
the same thing.
No, they
Your logic is very flawed here.
People stand on the edge of a river and watch the canoeing. No, it's not flawed. Anyway, I'm not going to try and convince you of something which you're determined not to accept.
Exactly right. There's loads more to come, including coming up next. We're going to talk to Philippe Auclair, who was at the West Ham game. We'll get the French view of the new stadium.
Indeed.
To find out how good it is. And, of course, don't forget Porky's sermon coming up, and we're going to do heroes and villains as well. This is TalkSport. Lots more for us to talk about, including, of course, what's been going on at Rio. Kate Richardson-Walsh will carry the flag for Great Britain at the closing ceremony tonight in Rio. So we'll be watching that then. What time is that?
Well, later on. Much later on. I think it's about...
Well, they're 4 hours behind us, aren't they?
Yeah, it's about 3 in the morning our time, I think.
Really?
The lady I'm talking about in the hockey, who just to me exemplified energy and skill and
so it's not Kate Richardson-Walsh.
No,
then?
it's Sam Quek.
Okay.
Sam Quek is the lady, a dark-haired lady.
I used to get out with a girl called Quek, you know.
Did you?
Yeah.
Really?
I wonder if they're related.
Well, I've no idea, but I mean, she was the one who came sprinting across the pitch when the final whistle had gone.
Yeah, well, I didn't see it.
And exemplifies everything. Yeah, I know. Well, I've been watching it for you while you've been bladderating over in...
This girl that I knew was her father was from Singapore, so it was maybe she's got a Singaporean father.
Well, could well be.
And her mother was Austrian.
Yeah, could well be. Absolutely.
You don't want to know, do you?
Yeah, I do.
I'll tell you a nice story about it, but we've actually got Philippe Auclair to talk to, so I'll tell you about my girlfriend's story a little bit later on.
Excellent.
Philippe, a very good evening to you.
A very good evening to you too.
Yeah,
bonsoir, I suppose we should say.
Yeah,
bonsoir.
Now, you went to the Olympic Stadium, which is now called currently the London Stadium, which may end up being called the Tesco Stadium. We're not quite sure what, but what was your experience like?
I went there early just to get an idea of what it would feel like before the game, and there wasn't much happening, to be absolutely honest. I mean, Stratford is still a construction site.
Yeah.
It's very impressive in some ways if you like big mounds of earth and huge cranes and massive commercial centres.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's pretty horrendous.
But what do you make of that horrendous? Sorry, I shouldn't have said that word. The sculpture, the red thing that looks like a helter-skelter.
Dismal. I mean, and I thought I used to like Anish Kapoor, but I don't understand this kind of mechano thingy. I mean, it looks pretty.
Imagine there's some pretty weird-looking stuff outside some of the French buildings, isn't there?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we of course we built we had a building, the Centre Beaubourg in Paris, where all the pipes are outside.
On the outside, yeah.
It's
and
quite striking.
And is it outside the Louvre? They have that big sort of, is it a big cube or a big triangle?
Yeah, no, but the pyramid, the glass pyramid.
Yeah,
it's actually quite nice. But
like
I don't think. Well, I prefer it to whatever it's called, the Skeletor thing.
I don't know what that's called actually.
What?
The thing that's outside the Olympic
slide.
Stadium. It looks like, I mean, it's going to become a slide.
You know what it looks like? In Men in Black, at the end of the film, they find the flying saucers. I mean, it looks exactly like that. One of those round things.
And but you know that thing actually exists. It's when you drive in from Kennedy Airport. It's in Queens. It used to be by Shea Stadium. That's where they had the World's Fair.
It was
in the 60s,
and it rotted for years, didn't it?
Yeah.
Then they did it up again for that film. That's absolutely right. I've never seen the film, but I know exactly the monument
you're talking
about.
Men in Black?
Men in Black, that's Tommy Lee Jones.
Correct.
It is.
Good.
Thank you.
It's the first film question he's ever got right.
That's fantastic.
It's extraordinary.
Right.
But what about the atmosphere once the game got going, Philippe? Because I was talking to some fans earlier, and the thing for me that makes it look slightly weird on television is the artificial grass around the pitch.
Yeah. It looks like you've got a billiards table, and they've put this football pitch on top of it.
Yeah.
And if
sort
you're
of in the
high
middle.
up, if you're high up in the stands, which we are, the media are very, very high up in the stands. It does look very artificial and quite unreal. It's not the feeling I think people who are sitting closer to the ground will be all the players. Actually, the players I talked to actually really enjoyed the playing surface and thought it was absolutely superb. Even if they said that it was, it felt huge, it felt very tiring. But the atmosphere was. I mean, at one point, the Bournemouth fans have had 2 points in the game. They're starting to sing, "This is the Emirates," and I think the Emirates was a bit noisier than that on quite a few occasions.
Really?
And it was very odd. I think I don't want to be too harsh on the Hammers fans. I think that they're waiting for something really to ignite the stadium. It's absolutely normal. And actually, there was a moment I think when. West Ham threatened to score, and there was this shot in the second half, and suddenly the stadium erupted. And believe me, when it's going to erupt for good, it's going to be amazing. At the moment, I think people are still trying to find their marks. The players are trying to find their marks. The public, it's a bit of a weird experience when you've been to Upton Park for so many years, as they have done and as I have done. It feels really weird. It doesn't feel like home yet, and it was not the most pleasant of experiences, shall I say?
Yeah, well, it was pretty difficult to get to, wasn't it? And
God, it's horrible.
And once you got there, it wasn't always Valhalla, was it? If you see what I mean.
Well, not many places are. Really,
no. That's right. But what about the game itself? Well, I thought it was rather dull, and and do you know what? I think that's because the point you've just made. I think the players were getting used to their new environment. The pitch is much bigger, isn't it, than the one that used to have at Upton Park?
Absolutely huge. And what goes for West Ham also goes for Bournemouth, and who had come, it fairly obviously. Looking at the way Eddie Howe had organised and very well organised his team, they thought, a point at West Ham would be a good thing. On the other hand, as Slaven Bilic actually said, I mean, he didn't want to make any excuses before the game, but it's true that they were without Andy Carroll, they were without Dimitri Payet, who might be back on Thursday, but probably next weekend. They were without Andre Ayew, of course, which is a huge loss, and Lanzini and Cresswell. So it was very much a team that he hoped would give a good performance in terms of guts rather than in terms of flowing football, and they gave that. It was not the kind of game that is going to set the world on fire or is going to linger in the memories. Further than the fact it was the first game at home, the program was quite magnificently put together. I think loads of people will have collected this one, and that's people walked home happy. When you look at what's happened to clubs which moved grounds. I mean, apart from Derby, I think, which strangely enough actually won more points when they moved from the old baseball ground, but not for very long. Arsenal, Manchester City and Southampton all had very difficult seasons after changing grounds. And having 3 points for your first game at home after the win in the Europa League, well, that's a good sign for Slaven Bilic.
And talking about Slaven Bilic, he looked very tired to me in the TV interviews I saw today.
That's because he's walking so far between where his dugout is and where the actual technical area is.
You could organise a five-a-side game in the technical zone. It's amazing.
Exactly, but he did look weary and tired, and you then
he does have that look, though. Doesn't he?
He does a bit, but you then reflect, Philip, that actually, does a football manager ever get any time off? Because most of the work they have to do to prepare for a new season starts on the day the last season ends.
Yes, well, there's that. But I think in the case of Slaven Bilic, and I don't think I'm giving any secrets away, it's just a guess. I think he's suffering from a bad back at the moment, and he's in great deal of pain.
Really?
I might be wrong, but that's the way it looks to me, that somebody who is in pain. I mean,
that would be normal for Porky to pick up on something that there's a guy actually in pain, but he didn't know anything about it.
I interviewed him after the game for French television, and yes, he looked really, really weary. I mean, perfectly, the usual Slaven in terms very interesting to talk to, but physically he looked a bit drained. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm sure he'll get over that.
And as do you mind if I ask a question?
Please do.
As you know what the sort of the big European stadiums are, and what Manchester City have achieved and all of that since their new stadium, I mean, does this really make it possible for West Ham to become a European power as they wish?
It's a little bit different from the situation in other clubs. If you look at, first of all, the arrangement is very different. Manchester City also they were transformed not by the move to the stadium, but they were transformed by the arrival of the Emirati funds.
Yes.
Arsenal, what happened is that they actually, their match day income was multiplied by 3, I believe,
something like that.
when they moved to the Emirates. This is not the case for West Ham. And West Ham actually quite commendably have slashed the lowest season ticket prices to £289 a year, which by Premier League standards is pretty good value for money. And they're not going to get this extra income like Arsenal had, which had a transformational effect on Arsenal in as much they could afford this new stadium. This is a completely different set of circumstances. I think it's very much more something like, okay, we've got the stadium, we've got the frame, but now it's up to you to paint the picture, guys. And the frame might not necessarily help all the time.
I see. Philippe, as ever, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much indeed.
We will talk to you again soon, I'm sure. Philippe Auclair, what a charming man.
Very charming man,
very charming, and very civilised.
Very erudite in the English
I think
language.
you would say. Yes, absolutely right.
Yeah,
That's why we wanted to get his view of the stadium.
Exactly,
It doesn't sound so far as if he's been completely and utterly
but
convinced.
I think it's a bit unfair examining the stadium in detail. It's a new stadium. It's going to have teething problems.
Of course.
It's a magnificent achievement to get there and rope in 52,000 fans.
Yeah.
Nobody ever thought West Ham would attract 30,000 fans. So they've done a fantastic job.
Yeah, all right. A couple of tweets for you. One from Red Devil, who says, "Ramble in the jungle" has a real ring to it, which is your idea, of course. And here's one from Andy, who says, "Porky wants rambling introduced to the Olympics. I'm not surprised. He'd be a shoo-in for gold. The bloke doesn't shut up."
Oh, that's very nice,
It's very nice indeed. Well, there's 2 more hours of it coming up, of course. We are the Two Mics. We are back from our various exertions in the past 2 weeks. Coming up in the next couple of hours, we'll be doing a Porky sermon. We will, of course, have heroes and villains, loads more as well. This is TalkSport. I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, and you're listening to The Two Mics. We've been away, but now we are back, and for quite some time, I should think, as well. We're going to talk about some transfer activity coming up. We're going to talk about David Moyes and his horrible start at Sunderland. We're going to talk about, of course, a bit of Everton as well, and Mick McCarthy, who's had a bit of a rant at the fans. Also, there's a Porky sermon coming up. There's a round of heroes and villains, and a few other Porky stories, because I've got something to ask you about your trip to Mallorca as well. You're listening to The Two Mics with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on TalkSport. We are the Two Mics, and of course there will be a podcast coming out a little bit later, probably in the morning, I should imagine, once the digital boys get in. So if you're not able to listen all the way through the night, you can listen to it then. How about this one from David, who says, "MG, please call the Olympic Stadium by its correct name, the Taxpayers Stadium. Gold and Sullivan have pulled off some successful deals in the past, but the Olympic Stadium fast tops the lot."
Yeah, well, I think it does, and they should be complimented for it, and somebody would have done it if they hadn't. They would just got in first. Now, some very rude comments about my dive. You've put out the picture of my dive, okay?
Yes, I have, yes.
And Ryan, for instance, here says, "Hey, Mike," he's talking to you, "Old Porky leaves the diving board perfectly, extending his lines in absolute harmony, then enters the water like a dead horse. Did somebody shoot him?"
Yeah, well, it doesn't look anything like a dive to me.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a couple of other dives as well. If you go on the Facebook page, you can find them, and there'll be more being put out as time goes on, because we did do quite a bit of what you can describe as aqua-related activities.
Indeed.
Because it was very, very hot, by the way. I mean, yesterday, spent my last day in Palma, went to the cathedral, which is a magnificent building.
I've been there before.
Have you?
It's amazing,
yeah. It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah. But because we had the problem of leaving the villa at 10 a.m, but not flying until 10:30 at night.
Exactly.
So we had to then think about what we did during the day.
To do,
and we decided to go to the Hard Rock Cafe. In fact, I took a picture for you, which I have yet to send you.
Oh, yes.
But I will send it out, because I haven't been to a Hard Rock Cafe for a very long time.
Right.
There was a time when it was kind of quite trendy thing to do.
What's exciting about this one?
Well, I had a gold Beatles disc in there.
Oh, really?
And I thought you might be interested in seeing it.
That would be.
Because one of the things that we did do after the very lavish lunch that you were very kind in buying, was that we retired to the villa for a bit of swimming, diving, and a bit of drinking.
Yes.
And we played a few Beatles songs.
We did play a few Beatles songs, which you got up on your iPad.
I did.
Now, another one here says...
Oh, sorry. That's the end of that then, is it?
No, at all.
No, you're just moving on.
We only have a limited amount of
time. 2 more hours.
The time. Anyway, one here says, "Don't worry, Porky, I thought you were great, better than Tom Daley." Well, Tom Daley won a bronze for diving in the Olympic Games, so I don't think I was quite that sort of standard. But nevertheless, thank you for all your comments. By the way, next time we're on the airwaves... people can sort of retune their radio after the Brazil Breakfast Show tomorrow, can't they?
What, you mean on the Talk Radio front?
Yes.
Yeah, we're on Talk Radio tomorrow,
exactly.
and the rest of the week. Now, it's a slight problem with this picture I took, because I didn't really check it when I took it. It's slightly blurred. Oh, there it is, no. It's just, it's the Beatles, and it's Capitol Records, and I think it's, on the occasion, it says, of 1 million sales.
Of what?
Of this album, which I think was the greatest hits album. It's got... Or is it the White Album?
Well,
no, Revolution 1, Honey Pie, Savoy Truffle.
Yeah, that was
Cry Baby Cry.
That's the White
Revolution
album.
9, Good Night.
That is the White album.
So it's a million. So it's a gold disc with a white album.
Yeah.
Would you like me to tweet that out?
Yes, please. You say it was on Capitol because they're
Capitol Records in America.
Oh yes, because it was Parlophone in this country, which is a subsidiary of EMI.
Yeah, this was Capitol Records in America.
Yeah, okay.
And actually, the hard rock, I have to say, in Mallorca was tremendous.
Really?
The only problem was that we parked the car.
Yep.
Right, went to the cathedral because I thought put the car in an underground car park and the luggage will be safe.
Yes.
Which it was.
Yes.
And then we came out of the cathedral and there was a sign that said Hard Rock Cafe this way.
Yes.
Right, but it was about a mile.
A mile.
And we were walking in 35-degree heat.
It's not good.
So I got a taxi back.
You got a taxi back? Yeah, okay, yeah. The taxis are quite efficient, I find.
They were good, yeah.
Whenever I, in the very short period of time I was in my hotel, whenever I said, could you get me a taxi, it turned up within 3 minutes.
Well, I mean, that was the thing. You couldn't check into the hotel in the morning, could you?
No, I couldn't, no.
So straight to lunch.
Yeah, absolutely.
By the time we got back there in the evening, it must be quite late.
Yes, well, yeah, it was, yeah, of course, yeah. But that's when I saw all these planes taking off, you know. Now then, I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about, actually, while we've got a second.
Yes.
Drink. Now, but not just drink. I mean, specifically. You know?
Specifically.
Yeah, do you know what I've seen today?
What have you seen today?
I've seen a survey of the cost of booze inside stadia. And
talk about the cost of booze in Spain. Incredible.
I said in stadium.
No,
in
I know, but I'm saying in Spain. We were drinking this very nice it's not homemade, but there was a beautiful deli in the town.
Yes.
For 1.5 litre of rosé wine, very nice.
Yeah.
It was about €1.87.
Yeah, I mean we get ripped off in taxes on booze in this country. And
shocking.
I want you some cigarettes back as well. Do you like that?
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
You didn't have to share that with everybody.
Why not?
Well, but why would you?
Well,
do you want to get some self-aggrandising?
No, just let people know. I'm a thoroughly decent chap.
Yeah, but there was a packet missing.
It was actually. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. That was
did you give those to?
No, that was a bladderation session on Partner My Return. And, my willpower left me.
But only you can give that sort of present. I brought you some cigarettes. Oh, great, there's a carton, and one of the packs has been taken out.
Oh, well, these things happen. Now then, look what I found this survey today.
Yeah.
You won't believe this, but Manchester United, which is in the north of England, good northern stock.
Well, in Manchester.
Yeah, in Manchester, where it's supposed to be a lot cheaper than in London, they charge for a pint of beer £7.
£7 in the stadium.
In the stadium,
really?
£7.
What, just for draft lager?
Draft lager.
That's ridiculous.
And do you know what? The next most expensive is a long way down.
Right.
It's West Ham's new ground.
Okay.
So I can expect it. They've got very good facilities there, obviously. £4.40.
That's a long way. That's nearly half price.
Yeah, it is nearly half price. In fact, sorry, I've got that wrong because Arsenal charge £4.50, Chelsea charge £4.60.
Okay.
I go to a place called Under the Bridge at Chelsea, and it is quite expensive, but it's very nice. It's Mr. Abramovich's nightclub, so to speak.
I thought when you went to Chelsea, you were normally hosted by one of our chums.
Yes, I sometimes am in the Dolce & Gabbana lounge.
Yeah.
But last time I went with a friend actually, and we went into Under the Bridge.
Yeah, right.
Tottenham are £4.20.
Yeah.
And then you get to the real northern clubs. So, for instance, Everton £3.90.
Yeah.
Liverpool £3.90. The cheapest is our favourite ground of last season. Bournemouth £3.50.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think to charge £7 for a pint of beer, which is substantially more than anybody else, they must have a reason for that.
Well,
what could possibly be the
I have
reason?
to say, I think...
That must be down to the Glazers.
Well, I suppose so. Manchester United are joint top of the Premier League, but they surge ahead of rivals in selling the dearest beer. Fans must spend the equivalent of £6.50 a pint at Old Trafford this season. The next most expensive, £4.70 at West Ham. But they've moved to the Olympic Stadium, But, I mean, that to me is outrageous.
That is outrageous. Absolutely ridiculous. Because, in the end, it is supposed to be still... I mean, why can't they have different prices? I mean, if you're in, say, hospitality, then if you want to buy a beer, it should be more expensive.
I think, to be honest, this is beer from the outlets, as you would call them, in the the ground area.
Oh, so what, they rent... the space from the stadium.
Something like that, I suppose. I don't know. But I mean,
it's a bit unfair to single out Man United, then, isn't it?
Yeah, but in hospitality, you don't normally pay for anything.
So how was your hospitality trip to Everton?
It's very good. I'm in a new lounge this season, and it was excellent. I met a lot of very nice people there who will become, sort of comrades during the course of the season.
Are you going to take me up there any time?
I have thought about it, but I'm not sure of the facility, Well,
how many seats do you have?
Well, you can obtain another seat, obviously.
But you'd have to pay.
Stuff. Yes, absolutely.
Right. So I can't just come along as your kind of guest?
No, not unless I have 2 seats, which I don't, because, unlike you, I didn't think I'd need 2,
one?
you know what I mean?
So where do you eat then?
You eat at a table with 8 other people.
Oh, do you?
Or 7 other people. There's 8 on the table, yes.
But why would you do? You don't like doing that, do you?
No, of course I do. They're a camaraderie, comrades.
No, but you don't like eating with other people.
Don't be ridiculous. I don't...
in fact, there were 2 things that I discovered on this trip that you made to Mallorca. One, that actually you'd be very charming company with my family.
Yes,
they were all very happy to see you.
Yes, exactly.
Bizarrely, which is why I suspect that one of them gave away where we were going.
Yeah.
Secondly, that you could swim, because I actually honestly believed that you couldn't swim. I honestly thought you couldn't swim.
Don't be ridiculous. What made you think that?
Because every time I asked you if you could swim, you kind of evaded the answer.
No, I can swim. I'm just not an Olympic style swimmer, but I'm pretty good at swimming.
Olympic style swimmer.
On the booze front, right now, this coincides with another story that I've come across in my journals.
Yes.
Britain's top doctor has been slapped down by ministers over her anti-booze scare warnings.
Oh, is this the chief medical officer?
Yeah, Dame Sally Davis was accused of promoting a nanny state when she advised against drinking any alcohol.
Right.
But in response to the chief medical officer's tough new guidelines, the government will stress there's no harm in a moderate tipple.
Yeah.
Theresa May...
Well, that's all right then.
...has told aides to tone down the hysterical message. Now, we have just been in Spain, right?
Yes.
Their medical chief officer recommends you can safely have 35 units a week.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what the Dame Sally recommendation is?
What did she say?
14.
14?
14, that's 1/3.
But was she not the one that also came out and said, actually, it's better if you don't
have any at all, yeah. Italy, 31.5.
Yeah.
France... 26.
26?
The USA.
That's low, isn't it?
USA, because they have a strange relationship with alcohol, don't they?
Yeah.
The Americans.
Yeah.
24.5.
24.5?
Yeah, 24.5. 24.5 units, yeah. And then 14 for Great Britain. So, all these scare stories. I mean...
Well, it's just as well that you don't take their advice, personally.
I mean, do you know where it all falls down? We have had colleagues over the years, in our 30 years of working in the media, who simply should have been dead years ago by their massive consumption of alcohol. Is that right?
I would say that's about right.
Exactly. And yet, they function, they're healthy, they don't...
Not all of them, of course.
Well, yeah, but most of the people are. I mean, people...
Well, most of you people that you describe as your old friends from Fleet Street died.
A lot of them did, actually. But funny enough, just to illustrate how...
See the time,
don't worry about it, how people's varying sort of alcohol intakes, right? Before I came out to see you, I got my hair cut, right?
Did you?
Yeah, because
Which one?
Oh, very funny, yeah. Nothing wrong with my hair, pal.
No, there's just not very much of it.
Don't be ridiculous.
I mean, the pictures are there for everyone to see.
No, I've had it cut shorter because of the heat, and I thought I'll get it cut short.
I mean, the sort of the gleam coming off it in the pool is quite staggering.
No. So anyway, as a result of that, I had to get a late appointment with my coiffeur.
Oh, yeah.
And so he came in at 7:30 the morning before I came out to see you.
Oh, what you mean? You got a haircut before you came to Spain?
Yes, day before.
Day
before, yeah. So he said, if you can get here for 7:30 a.m., I'll do your hair. He said before I open
up. It's like you're Tom Cruise,
at 8.
You have to go there when the place is shut.
Why not? So anyway, he suddenly cut my hair, and I said, we were he's of Italian extraction, his family, so we're talking football, But then he said, I'm sorry if I'm not quite on the ball this morning. I said, what's the problem? He said, I've had a really hard week, and so last night when I got home, he said, I decided to take a stroll down to the pub after dinner and just, have a drink. He said, and I've got a terribly throbbing head this morning. He said, really, I really shouldn't have done it, I should have known better. And I said, don't worry, mate. It happens all the time. I said, what were you drinking then? He said, beer. That's all I ever drink, beer. I said, oh, right, you had a few pints then, did you? He said, no, I had my usual 2. But then I don't know what we're laughing at.
Only you would... Well, we'd find that ridiculous, wouldn't you?
And then he was going on like this throbbing head, I'll be able to work until lunchtime.
I had this situation with on the last day. Actually, I may have to tell you this after the break. But on the last day we were in the villa, we went out. I decided, look, we had all this food in the fridge.
Right.
And I'm like, I didn't really fancy having sort of leftovers and things like that. So I said, right, we're just going to go out for dinner.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
And of course, we went out for dinner, and the amounts of food that they gave us, we ordered tapas, and then they brought the main course. It was massive. Yeah. But myself and my daughter's fiance were then left with the task of trying to finish all the booze.
Oh, golly.
And it was a nightmare because it was so full up.
Yeah.
We had to give up in the end.
Well,
at about
you couldn't
2
drink.
o'clock. Well, about 2 o'clock in the morning, we had about 2.5 more bottles of wine to go. We finished the whiskey.
Yeah.
We had a bottle of champagne we couldn't drink.
Right.
So we had to leave a bottle of champagne, a bottle of red wine, and a bottle of rosé, I think, behind.
Couldn't you take them back to the villa?
Well, no, we were leaving the villa the next morning.
Oh, I say, right, okay. So it wouldn't have any point taking them back.
No, this wasn't a restaurant. This was at the villa.
Oh, it was at the villa. I'm sorry.
The stuff that we had in the fridge.
Oh, I see.
I actually overbought the booze.
I see.
Would you believe? Staggering.
Well, you should have brought it home with you, or you should have taken it out on your last day and sat in the grounds of the cathedral in Palma and drunk it.
I've got children.
Like a wino.
I've got children to do. I'll tell you another story about that in a minute. Okay. But we've got to take a little short pause. Kieran Gill's coming up, though. He's going to tell us what he thinks of what Ipswich manager Mick McCarthy said about the Ipswich fans. This is Talk Sport. This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. The Porky Sermon coming up for those of you looking for spiritual guidance. This is a place to get it, of course, on a Sunday evening. We're here till 11 o'clock. And there's also an episode of Heroes and Villains coming up. Should we do 2 each, do you think?
2 each, yeah.
2 each is the general standard. Now, I've got a tweet here from Rob. It says, did MG pick up his labby from the kennels? Is he okay after his 2 weeks in captivity? I can tell you that I did pick him up this morning.
Yes.
And he's in absolutely the perfect health.
Right.
Very, very happy.
Yes.
The person who was looking after him said that he was in fine fettle.
Right.
And he loved playing with all the other dogs while he was there.
Okay.
She said he was very muscular and not overweight at all.
And he hadn't shown any withdrawal symptoms.
No, and he was so happy to see us. He went absolutely, bat crazy, is all I can say on the radio.
Yeah.
The only problem was that because of the fact that we were forced into, well, not forced into, but I only got back last night at about 3:30 in the morning.
Yes.
My original plan would have been to take him down to Sussex.
Yes.
And then come back up sort of later on Sunday night.
Yes.
But obviously I had to be here. For an 8 o'clock show.
Yeah.
And so we had to have an exchange of the dog in a service station.
Oh, yeah. Where did this take place?
In Cobham.
In Cobham?
Around the M25.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's very close to the Chelsea training ground.
It is indeed. Yeah, in fact, you can tell when you're there because as you're driving anywhere near that particular and it's a new service station on the M25.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly where it is.
You know where it is?
I know where it is.
And one of my sons was looking out the window going, I've just seen a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Oh, just seen one of those four-wheel drive Bentleys.
Well, that's right.
Just seen a Ferrari.
That's right.
I mean, the cars that are on that section of the M25, which I assume are full of footballers.
Yes, I suppose they
are the most expensive cars you've ever seen.
I suppose they are. And if you ever go into Cobham itself now, I mean, Cobham 25 years ago, 30 years ago, was just another little Surrey village, really.
Yeah, right.
But it now has the shops that
Is it now like that Cheshire place? You know?
Yeah, Wilmslow.
Wilmslow, where all the footballers
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's honestly, it's now like an extension of Bond Street. You know, the shops are all Dolce and Gabbana and all this kind of stuff. Louis Vuitton and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Pierre Cardin. Now, let's talk to Kieran Gill, who is, of course, from the Daily Mail.
Yep.
He was at the game today, Norwich against Ipswich, down at Ipswich, the old farm derby. Mick McCarthy got very worked up afterwards because he's getting very upset about the fans criticising him.
Yep.
Let's find out from Kieran what it was all about. Kieran, very good evening to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hi.
Not at all. Now, Mick McCarthy, I imagine, if you cover him quite a bit, is a bit of a volatile character, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I was speaking to one of the locals today who sees Mick quite a lot, and he said that's the first time he's seen him like that, the way he was in that press conference. Yeah.
Really? So what had particularly angered him?
Well, he did mention he was called a boring so-and-so by an Ipswich fan in his rant, and obviously today was anything but boring. It was just a bit remarkable, a bit bizarre. Because, his side had just earned a good point against a very good team. Draw against Norwich, team that just came down from Premier League, and have beaten Ipswich 5 times in the last 6 meetings. Draw isn't the end of the world, but, he was fed up and he had a few things to get off his chest.
But, isn't that the life of every football manager, really, Kieran? And don't they have to suppress those kind of frustrations by making them public? I think that sends a message to the fans that, has Mick lost it?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Managers have to put up with this on a daily basis, really. And I think it's important to say that one fan who did call him a boring so-and-so, and that's when Mick actually dropped the C-bomb.
Yeah.
I found out afterwards that after Ipswich's 2-0 loss to Brentford last week, a fan approached him in the car park and started shouting abuse at him.
Yeah.
And obviously today he let it all out, and that's where that great quote
See, I think, Kieran, and Mike as well, I think there's a line that gets crossed here with fans. It's all very well for fans to say we pay their wages and we pay money to see the games and we deserve to be treated properly and all the rest of it. But surely, we've seen this with Arsene Wenger in the past, we've seen it with other managers as well. I don't think fans have any right to be abusive personally in a sort of one-to-one situation, really. I mean, I don't really like them singing abusive songs at the manager either.
I don't either.
I mean, I don't think fans have the right to do it, do you?
Not really, but I mean, they're entitled to their opinion, and managers tend to put up with this. But Mick today seemed to just boil over, obviously. But as you mentioned, fans could look at this and think, "Oh, is it getting to him?"
Yeah.
But the reception from a lot of fans today that I've seen on Twitter, they actually admire him for coming out and just, saying what it is he wanted to say and saying it as it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, that great quote from Mick was the up and down like a fiddler's elbow, and saying, like, fans can be fickle, they wear the heart on the sleeves and all that, and today it seemed to get to Mick, and he wanted to get off his chest.
Yeah, but I mean, you see, this sort of thing, it also makes people examine Mick McCarthy's record, because, managers who consistently win things like Jose Mourinho very rarely moan about fans having a go at them because they're successful. And it's only managers who feel that, the frustration of not being able to turn an average team into a great team, where it gets them. And I slightly disagree with my broadcasting colleague here, Mike Graham, because if you're paid a huge amount of money, and I would imagine, what would the Ipswich manager get? I suppose £300,000-400,000 a year, something like that?
Maybe more.
Yeah, around that mark.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a terrific amount of money, and I'm afraid that with that, the territory is that you are going to be subject to personal examination.
Yeah, but personal examination, like in a street, or I mean, I saw this when I was in Scotland, in Rangers and Celtic situations where, Neil Lennon would go out at night and he would get attacked. And I mean, some of these fans do get...
nobody supports that,
No, of course not. But I don't think there's much different between that and somebody coming up to you in the street or when you're out with your family.
Yeah.
I mean, John Hartson will tell you stories that used to happen to him when he was out with his family.
In
people
Swansea.
would come up... No, in Glasgow.
In Glasgow,
when he was playing for Celtic, And Kieran, I mean, I don't know what it's like up in the northeast of England where people's hearts very much are on their sleeves, but it's not. It's not... I don't think it's right that fans should expect to be able to do that.
No, well, today, obviously... Mick, he gave it as good as he got, in fairness. Like we say, fans wear the heart on their sleeves, but today that's what Mick was doing.
Yeah.
And I mean, the fans weren't the only ones who he targeted. He targeted Sky Sports and the pundits. He had a go at them. Then he had a go at the match officials. Didn't dare look them in the eye today, really, because anyone who's anyone was in the firing line today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes either. You don't know whether he's been told he's got no more money. You don't know whether he's been told he's got to improve his results, to keep his job secure. And on that question, Kieran, I mean, it is a bit... East Anglia is a bit forlorn at the moment in terms of football glory, isn't it?
It is a bit. Obviously, Ipswich, going into today, they hadn't beaten Norwich since 2009, I think it was. Yeah. They'd played them 6 times, lost 5 times, drawn once, and obviously today the hopes were very high that they could bring that to an end. But I mean, maybe that's where the frustration's coming out. And obviously against Brentford last week, 2 late goals, a loss, and just the fans are getting a bit fed up in East Anglia. And I know a few people down there, and they expect more, but what can you do, really?
Yeah. And what about the 3 teams that went down? I mean, Villa are down sort of mid-table, Norwich are up sort of near the top, and Newcastle are somewhere in the middle, and somewhere sort of 7th or something like that. I mean, if you've seen them all playing, which of them do you think has got the most chance of coming back up? I know it's ridiculously early to ask.
Well, for me, I might be a little biased here, though I might not. My money is still on Newcastle, although a few of my colleagues had made bets in our office that Newcastle would go unbeaten, and obviously that came to an end on the first day.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it didn't really get off the ground.
It didn't really.
Yeah,
wasn't the bet of the season, was it, really?
No, not really, no.
But they have to, don't they, Newcastle, because they've got all the resources. I mean, their owner alone is, he's a sort of land-based version of Sir Philip Green, isn't he? He's got so much money, he could, without a shadow of a doubt, he can shake it up out of his own pocket, whereas that you can't say that about Villa, unless there's things about their new owners that we don't know. And Norwich, to me, is always a bit of a conundrum ownership-wise, because you never quite know whether, what's the name of the cookery expert lady?
Oh, yeah.
Delia
Smith.
Delia Smith is funding it, or just like a front woman. So I totally agree with you.
She's very good at boiling eggs, though.
She's very good at boiling eggs, yeah, but I agree with you. Newcastle, I would bet with you now, Kieran, that Newcastle will come back up. I think they've had a stuttering start, but they've got the best manager on paper in the Championship, haven't they?
Well, we have. Rafa Benitez, he's gone from managing at the Bernabeu to managing at Burton,
Yes.
So, You know, and I mean, you like to John Joe Shelby, who's still at Newcastle, and he had a clause in his contract that said he wasn't going to get a pay cut. So he's still getting paid. You know, I think it's around 60 or 80,000 a week. You know, and that's extraordinary amount for in the Championship.
Of course, it is. Yeah.
How can they afford not to go back up? You know?
Exactly
right.
Totally agree.
Kieran, listen, appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed. Kieran Gill there from the Daily Mail, watching Mick McCarthy having a bit of an explosion, but maybe it's all going to be fine.
We all have frustrations in our work, Mike. You know, but you've got to know how to handle it.
Of course,
know how to handle it.
Well, I've always been famous for handling things very well.
I've always had a reputation as a diplomat when it comes into those sort of situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can think of no better word than diplomat to describe the way that you conducted your career.
Yeah, well, exactly.
It is absolutely a sort of a study, actually, in diplomacy.
But you've just complimented me on my ability to be dignified and reasonable and rational in the company of others, you know, particularly your family.
No, well, I was shocked.
And the way...
I was shocked.
What are you shocked about?
Well, because you don't behave like that when you're with me.
What are you on about?
Well, normally you spend your time abusing me, you know, you need to tell strangers that I'm some kind of a scumbag and abandoner, all that kind of thing, you know.
That's because you sometimes act like a scumbag and I have to point it out to the public that I'm not, I'm not a scumbaggery colleague of yours, you know what I mean?
Exactly right. Now, we're going to do Heroes and Villains soon. We've got the Porky Sermon coming up as well.
Yeah.
We are the two mics. This is TalkSport. This is TalkSport. We are the two mics, and Big Mike has tweeted. He says, great to hear that MG and Mike Parry are back. Need to book their 2017 holiday at the same time. Please give us plenty of notice for next year.
Yeah.
I don't want you to think you've started some kind of trend here that we're going to somehow go on holiday together.
No.
I mean, one of the reasons I go on holiday is to get away from you. I mean that in the nicest possible way.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
I've recharged my batteries. It was lovely to see you.
Yes.
You know, but I don't want you coming with me every time I go away.
Oh, no, I wouldn't come with you. I did it to help your family out because, you know, they'd had 10 days of you and messages were getting back to me in England that it was getting rather...
tense.
And,
well, it does when you're on holiday with six people.
Well, exactly. But anyway,
it's not easy out there.
Got one here from Chris, who is a Villa fan. So I hope I haven't said anything unkind about Villa on the show. I don't think I have.
You've actually not done that, no?
No, exactly. He says, with that dive, Porky, in the pool, it seems to have gone viral on social networking. Have you considered changing your name to Mike the Pike Parry? Leaping like a pike. Do pikes leap?
It is. Pikes do leap. Yeah, they leap out of the water. In fact, I saw a flying fish on Saturday as we went to this little bit. It was a bit of an unfortunate experience, actually, because we wanted to stay around the Palma Cathedral area.
Yes.
That's down by the port.
Right.
And there's these massive cruise ships all over the place.
Yes.
Ferries going off to Barcelona.
That's right, yeah.
And we went in the sea there. And I have to say, it was the most polluted sea I've ever been in.
Oh, dear.
And it had a kind of sort of a film over you when you came out. It felt like it was a bit oily.
And you had nowhere to sort of
well, there were no showers.
No.
So that was the thing I was going to tell you. We did the kind of homeless shower.
Oh, I see.
Where we got back to the there was a foot tap outside the car park.
Oh, I see.
And there was this lovely, that lovely scene where the fountain comes up next to the cathedral.
Yes.
I had an empty bottle of water.
Right.
And I literally and everyone else was just kind of washing their feet and getting changed and whatever. And I said, well, I'm going to just pour water over myself.
Yes.
So I poured water into the bottle.
Yes.
And I was just wearing a pair of swimming trunks and stood there pouring water over myself.
Right, yeah.
Which was brilliant.
Yeah, well,
you would to get clean.
You did look like a homeless bum, didn't you, doing that?
Well, and then everybody copied me then because they said actually this is the best way to get rid of because the sea water was literally kind of oily.
Not nice.
It wasn't nice. I felt like a victim of the Torrey Canyon.
A victim of the Torrey Canyon. That's terrible. People won't know what the Torrey Canyon is, but it broke its back on a rock in Cornwall about 40 years ago.
Oh, yeah, it was in the 60s. I was down there at the time.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why we were there, but we must have been on holiday.
Blimey.
And I remember visiting a couple of the beaches with my parents.
Yes.
And all the rocks were just covered in horrible sludgy
tar. And horrible,
it was disgusting. The smell was awful.
Terrible. Now, Paul sends a picture in of two walruses, right?
Yeah.
Wallowing around in water. And he says the caption on this is, here's a picture of the two Mikes, Porky and MG, swimming in the pool in Spain. Yeah. Aren't they incredible?
Yes.
So people making a lot of fun about all this.
Yeah,
they
are.
But,
well, if they want to see us in person, we should really mention the Edinburgh Festival, shouldn't we? Because we haven't done that properly yet.
I think we should.
We're going up on Friday.
Yes.
We're doing 3 shows. At the Assembly Studio 1.
Yes, we are.
If you want to get tickets, you can get them up through the Edinburgh box office, of course, but you can also go to the twomics.co.uk.
That's right.
It's 11 o'clock in the evening show.
Yes.
I want to make sure that people know that.
Yeah.
Because obviously the great challenge is going to be appearing on stage at 11 o'clock relatively compos mentis.
No, it's not, you see, because it's not for me. Now,
what do you mean it's not for you?
Well, one of our mates has organised...
I mean, appearing on stage at any time of the evening for you is a challenge.
No, it's not. No. One of our mates has organised a big dinner on Friday before our first show as a sort of commemoration.
Yeah.
Hello, fellas. He's bringing some friends along. It's going to be great, copious amount of drink, and I can't perform like that. I'm a professional.
What do you mean? You're not coming for dinner?
Well, probably not, no.
Really?
What are you
going to be doing?
Sorry?
What are you going to be doing?
Well, I'm going to be preparing for the show.
It doesn't have to be like a mad outing. It can be just a civilised dinner with a couple of glasses of wine.
Danger of it getting out of hand.
You can't do that, can you?
And also, unlike you, I concentrate on my breathing during... Sorry,
why do you have to concentrate on your breathing? Most people can do it without concentrating.
No. I concentrate on my breathing when I'm doing any sort of live broadcasting.
Is that
whether
right?
it be in a studio.
Yeah.
I have a strict rule. I don't eat anything for 2.5 hours before we go on air.
Right.
And on a live show, where, of course, you are subject to even more scrutiny by the audience, I refuse to eat for 4 hours before the show.
Is that right?
Yeah, and take very moderate amounts of alcohol.
So what will you be eating 4 hours before 11 o'clock then?
A ham and cheese sandwich is what I always prefer.
A ham and cheese sandwich at 7 p.m.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right. And then because the way my digestive system works, you see, as only 1/3 of my heart works,
49% actually.
My digestive system works a lot slower than yours.
Yeah.
So I have to ensure there's plenty of time for the digestive process.
Yeah.
The second biggest thing a heart does, the first big thing a heart does is push blood around your body.
Yeah.
And the second big strain on it is keeping your breathing apparatus in your lungs going.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's the same for everybody. If you're not breathing properly, that's not going to work out well, is it?
No, but what I'm saying is it's more difficult for me as I've got such a dodgy ticker.
Well, you say that, right?
Yes.
You say that, but I mean, you were performing very well. I mean, outside of the swimming pool scenario,
yes.
We had a fair amount to drink, not excessive, of course, but
moderation,
you were swimming, you were jumping. I mean, nothing wrong with you.
Well, no, that's because I know exactly how far I can push my frail and somewhat knackered body.
Yeah.
And you see,
it certainly looks knackered.
Yeah, but you say to yourself, oh, you don't look knackered and all that. Now, I stayed for 1.5 days.
Yeah.
You punished yourself with excessive booze and...
Not at all.
And excessive
I feel
food
absolutely brilliant.
Over
I feel
15 days.
No, I feel refreshed. I feel mentally ready for anything.
Yep.
There's no question that before we went away for a couple of weeks, we were working practically every day.
We were.
And it was quite a busy period.
Yeah.
And so therefore,
you felt a bit jaded,
I did not feel at all as if I punished myself. I felt as if I rewarded myself.
Yes.
Because there's nothing better than waking up in the morning and going for a swim.
Yes.
For example.
Oh, I can see that.
Nothing better than having a swim last thing at night.
Yeah, well, I can see that as well.
Even though there was a sign at one of the first villa we were at that, you should not swim if you've been drinking.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Well, I was like, we're not going to be doing any swimming.
Exactly. You wouldn't have gone swimming at all.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it was very, very hot there. On the day I left, I had to spend a couple of hours around the hotel after I'd checked out because, I had things to do and the plane wasn't taking off till like 5 o'clock. Yeah. And I have to say, I couldn't find anywhere in the hotel that was cool.
Yeah.
Because
they got air conditioning.
They got air conditioning, but all the poolside bars and things have all got open sides. That's right. Yeah. And the only place the air conditioning really worked was in the sort of lobby, to be honest.
Well, we were in a place which was, you may have seen this out in the Far East or maybe in Qatar when you went out to Doha. But they had out by the cathedral there was a sort of cafe, and we went there for an ice cream just before we left.
Yes,
and it was so hot in there that they had that, when they spray that sort of mist at you, which kind of only keeps you cool really if you're right in the way of it.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
and it was just ridiculous. There was no breeze at all.
Yeah. Well, no, there's no breeze in Palma actually when I left. You're absolutely right about that. Now, Martin, sorry, just very quickly, sends a response to the picture of me diving.
Yeah.
He says Porky's top half is diving, but the bottom half seems to be jumping.
That's true, actually. So, like a pantomime horse.
Yeah, like
you're not connected.
Right, yeah.
Now, the question I want to ask you, and I'm not sure if you've got time to answer it here, is was there not an incident on your return flight that you wish to share?
Well, it wasn't an incident as such. It was rather a pleasant experience, actually.
Was it?
Yeah, because what happened
Is it something you can tell on a family show?
Yes, I can. Yeah, definitely. See, what happened was I was trying to get my seat upgrade on the way back because when I when I booked...
Why? It's like 2.5 hour flight.
Don't care. I wanted to travel business. So when I booked it originally, there were no seats available in business. So I said to the girl, "Are there any seats available?" She said yes. and this is at the British Airways desk in Palmer Airport. But I have to say, there were only 3 desks for the whole of the British Airways thing.
Right.
And lots of other airlines had massive representation.
Well, yeah, but it's because they probably fly a lot more people there.
Well, British Airways is not like a budget tourist operation.
I mean, I think the last time I went to Mallorca, I went with them, but we went in straight and then out via Madrid.
Yeah, okay, yeah, fine. Well, this was straight back to London to City Airport because I wanted to fly to City.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
Why? Because you don't live anywhere near it.
Well, no, I know, but it's so easy to get through, isn't it? We've said that
wouldn't
already.
you be better off going to Gatwick?
Well, yeah, but they didn't fly at the time I wanted to go and all this kind of stuff, you know. Right. So anyway, there's an extremely glamorous lady trying to do the same. She's trying to upgrade herself, okay?
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, really elegant lady.
Right.
And so anyway, we sort of, you know.
When you say elegant, what do you mean by that?
Well, very well dressed, very well turned out, you know, very good looking, that kind of stuff, you know. And so I thought, well, I'll tell you what, because neither of us are getting anywhere. They said, we haven't got the technology to upgrade you, I'm sorry. I said, what? British Airways haven't got the technology to upgrade the seat.
Right.
I said, I'm quite happy to pay for it. I just want to make sure I get decent. Oh, no, I'm sorry, we can't do it. And the supervisor came and I said, no, I can't do it. Anyway, the glamorous lady, I thought, I'll make her day by saying, look, we can't get ourselves upgraded. Let me offer to buy you a drink in, you know, a cocktail bar or something like that.
Uh-huh. How charming.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
She fell for that, did she?
No, because when I turned round, she'd gone. So but she was smarter than me.
Right.
Do you know what she did?
What?
She went off to the business class lounge and complained that though she wanted to be upgraded, she couldn't because of technology, but she wanted to be admitted to the bar and she got in. So how do I know this? Because I went off to some, you know, like German beer keller or something. You know, sort of a cocktail bar. Had a few
in High Dudgeon.
Well, yeah, a bit in High Dudgeon, you know, and a few shippers. Anyway, when I get on the plane, I get to my seat, which was 7B.
Right.
And glamorous lady is sitting in 7A.
Oh, right.
I mean, it's amazing.
Was this in business then?
No, because we couldn't get upgraded to business.
But you told me before that the business seats there were 16 of them. It's a different plane.
Yeah, but there's 4 rows, you see what I mean?
See.
So it's the first 4 rows, or first 5 rows, something like that, I'm sure. But anyway, this was 2 rows behind business, okay?
Right.
So I said, now at first I was a bit alarmed because this one was so impressively turned out, and I felt like a bit of a slob, to be honest.
Well, he did look like a bit of a slob.
Well, I had shorts on and I had a shirt.
That Pierre Cardin shirt on that you always wear.
Well, not always wear it.
You always wear it.
I've got a few of them.
It's a checked shirt.
Anyway, and I'd been hot all day. I said
was it unbuttoned halfway down as well, like
probably.
it was in the video?
Yeah, probably, yeah. And I said you'd been very hot in the hotel during the day, and then, you know, you get a hot taxi out to the airport, and then it's hot in the airport. And I felt rather shabby, for want of a better word.
Well, to be honest, you're finally realising that's what you look like. That is your common look.
So I was a bit reticent.
Time, by the way.
I was a bit reticent to get engaged in conversation with this lady because I thought, well, she probably gets this all the time, you know, and she might think I'm a lagerlouse or something like that.
Yeah, why would she think that?
Well, I don't know, you know, because I'd been in the beer cellar for a couple of hours, you know. So I was, but anyway, she struck up conversation, and we spent the next 2.5 hours, you know, discussing.
Did you talk like all the way across?
All the way, all sorts of things, all sorts of things. A terrific person
Very
to have
nice.
met. Yes,
and
absolutely.
can you tell us anything about this woman?
Not really.
No,
not really.
It's
no.
a secret, is it?
Well, it's not secret, but I mean, you know, I don't think I should start revealing details of people's lives who you've only just met.
I don't mind that. I'm all in favour of that because there's certain things that you should keep private.
Exactly.
Have you seen her again?
Well, I mean, I can't talk about that sort of thing, you know.
Well, we may have to follow this one.
Well, if so, I'll let you know.
Yeah, okay. We'll follow it with some interest.
Exactly.
You know, because anything can happen in the world of the Porkmeister.
Indeed.
Now that he's admitted finally that he quite enjoys going on holiday. You said you don't like holidays. You didn't like the sun, didn't like swimming.
Yeah, but I wouldn't like to have been there for more than a day, to be honest.
All right.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport. That, of course, is the music for Heroes and Villains, which is our, I'd like to say weekly, but it's sort of occasional at the moment. Competition as to, we do two heroes, 2 villains.
Yes.
It's not judged by the great public, unfortunately, but it will be judged by our producer, Chambo, who has occasionally shown you a bit of a favouritism, I have to say. But
I don't think so.
Yeah, but it's been an amazing sort of weekend, hasn't it, for Heroes?
Indeed.
We've had all of the stuff going on in Rio. We've had lots of other things I'm not going to tell you about because you might not know. But would you like to go first with your first hero? how would you like to do it?
You go first with the heroes.
Okay, well, I'm going to go first with, as I say, it would be very obvious to say Team GB.
Yes.
So I'm not going to say Team GB.
Okay.
I'm going to say Cal Crutchlow.
Cal Crutchlow.
Do you know who Cal Crutchlow is?
No.
Cal Crutchlow is the first British MotoGP winner in 35 years.
Yes.
He went out to Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic, I should say, in the Grand Prix, and he beat Valentino Rossi, who's the 7-time champion, into second place.
Yeah, that's rather obscure, that, isn't it?
Well, it's not obscure at all. If you happen to be a fan of motor racing, the MotoGP is a magnificent scenario. And they've got the next British GP at Silverstone on the 4th of September.
Oh, really?
He was riding a Honda.
Yes.
He did it in 47 minutes. There's that number again.
Yeah.
44.290 seconds. And I mean, when you think back to Barry Sheen's domination of the sport, right?
Yes.
1981, that was the last British rider to win an elite class GP.
Is that right?
That's quite an achievement.
Right?
Don't you think?
Okay.
So Cal Crutchlow is my first one.
Okay, right.
What's yours?
My first hero, referee Mike Dean.
Mike Dean.
Yes, because in the Stoke-Manchester City game, he finally got a grip, literally got a grip, of players who were pulling each other's shirts and awarded 2 penalties as a result.
Yes.
And that, to me, is an outstanding move forward. I want to see next players penalised for what I regard to be obstruction when they try to shield the ball as a defender wants to retrieve it to get on with the game.
Well, he sort of also did that Raheem Sterling thing as well, didn't he? He was obstructing, wasn't he?
Absolutely. But the shirt pulling has been such a tawdry scar on the game for so many years. The football authorities have ignored it. It can't be ignored any longer. And
it's hard to give somebody a hero thing for just doing their job, though.
Well, yeah, but no other referee ever has done. And to be honest, they said, well, it's a new directive. Well, I didn't see any other referee. I saw all the match of the day games. I didn't see any other referee enforcing it with such vigour. So I really think he's made a step forward. Good old Mike Dean. That's what I say.
Okay, all right. Well, my second hero is my first villain. I think I was going to do next. I'm going to do David Moyes. Now I know that he's a former sort of
it's a bit harsh.
compadre of yours.
Yeah,
but I mean,
harsh.
I'll tell you why I've given it to him though. Not because of the results, which, as we know, are pretty horrendous.
He came in very late in the day.
Played 2, lost 2. Yeah, but it's listening to his excuses in the press conference afterwards.
Yes.
Where he talks about the fact that we had to put a lot of young players in there.
Yes.
You know, a couple of the players that are playing haven't had any pre-season games.
He's Stephen Pienaar he brought from Everton. He hadn't had any
apparently
pre-season.
hadn't had any pre-season games.
No.
But it's all excuse after excuse after excuse, and it all starts to sound a bit familiar after a while. A bit like he's picked up, unfortunately, not his Everton management style, but his Manchester United management style, which is what he used to do. He used to apologise all the time, but say, actually, I thought we played really well. And I think the fans will get sick of that.
I think that's a bit harsh because he came so recently to the job and he hasn't had a chance to do anything yet to shape his own squad, and he doesn't know how much money he's got to spend. But anyway, that's yours.
So that's my first villain. So who's your first villain?
My first villain is Diego Costa.
No.
Because
you keep picking on him.
No, I'm not picking on him. This guy should have been sent off in the last 2 Chelsea games in which he was very instrumental in getting the maximum points, okay? And the situation is that he clearly should have been booked a second time in each game, which would have resulted in being dismissed from the pitch. And yet he so intimidates referees now, and so do Chelsea Football Club, really, in trying to explain that, well, that's the way he plays, that he didn't get sent off. So I'm sorry, as far as I'm concerned, he's stacking up trouble for himself, because eventually a referee as good as Mike Dean is going to turn around and say, you've got to go.
Okay. All right, my time for my second hero.
Yep.
And it's going to be another one that you're going to say is obscure, but in fact it isn't obscure. It is, of course, Conor McGregor, who's the Irishman that I spoke to you about before, who's the MMA fighter, cage fighter, as you would call him,
I don't
in
think
the
anybody
UFC.
cares about this.
People do. People do.
Yeah.
You might remember that he went into a different weight class to try and beat Nate Diaz, and he lost.
Yes.
And he thought he made a terrible mistake. This guy's worth an absolute fortune.
Right.
Anyway, he had a rematch over the weekend, UFC 202, right, instead of 196, and he beat the guy. And he's now become, a champion in 2 different weight classes. He's a fantastic character. Afterwards, he celebrated in a Las Vegas nightclub with Niall Horan and Rory McIlroy.
Right.
That's the kind of level this guy is now at, right?
Really?
And he is going to be he's already a superstar, and he already is the guy that's basically going to make this sport into a superstar sport.
I still think most people haven't heard of him.
That's
anyway,
not true.
There you go.
You'll get that wrong.
Okay, so my second hero?
Yes.
It's another Mike. I had Mike Dean in the first one. The second one, Mike Phelan.
Mike Phelan.
He is the manager of Hull City,
yeah.
right? He's not even the manager.
He hasn't got the job yet, has he?
He's the acting manager. Everybody said Hull City are going straight back down, that they're in chaos, they've got no players, the ownership of the club is subject to speculation.
Rid of it and all that,
and Mike Phelan has cut through all that. He's taken charge and he's got maximum points.
Yeah.
And that is a tremendous effort, because anybody who can rise above it all and do it deserves the credit I'm just giving him. He's a hero.
Okay. So your two heroes are called Mike.
Indeed.
That's a bit of sort of self-serving, isn't it?
And my name's Mike, and your name's Mike, so there's a lot of Mikes around.
There's a lot of Mikes around.
Yeah.
So my second villain of the piece is from the Olympics, actually.
Right.
There's been a lot of heroism going on. There's been some great performances by Team GB.
Yes.
But Ryan Lochte is my guy.
Ryan Lochte.
Do you know this? Do you know who this guy is?
Name.
Because, I mean, you've been keeping an eye on all this while I've been away.
Yeah,
So I was expecting you to immediately know this guy's name.
Yeah.
He's a swimmer.
Yes,
right?
swimmer.
He's a United States swimmer.
Right.
And this is the guy who said that he was robbed in Rio by men dressed as police officers.
A disgraceful incident. Disgraceful.
And he's now had to send a grovelling apology to everybody in Brazil.
Yes.
Because he basically made up the story.
Yeah, he did. And it came in the wake of all the terrible scare stories that everything was going to go wrong in Brazil, that people are going to get robbed at gunpoint and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's got this kind of weird apology, right, where he's kind of saying, I wasn't lying to a certain extent. I'm not quite sure what that means.
He said, I wasn't frank and outright as much as I should have been. Well, no, you weren't frank and outright at all.
No, it's called telling lies.
Yeah, exactly.
Or telling porkies.
Yeah.
110% sorry, he claims to be. He says that one of the reasons that he was in this mess is because of his immaturity.
Yes.
He's 32.
Yeah, exactly.
He needs to get a life.
Yeah,
and he needs to get some maturity.
Exactly.
He apologises to the gas station owner, which is where the incident happened.
That's right.
Because apparently he wrecked a board there or something like that.
No, I think it was a bathroom fitting.
Yeah, bathroom fitting to the Brazilian police, to the people of Rio, and to the people of Brazil.
Yes.
I want to say that I am truly 110% sorry. Well, I'm sorry, mate. You're a plank.
Yes,
and
I
so
agree.
Ryan Lochte is my second villain.
Okay. My second villain is the Chinese government.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Dangerous talk.
Well, dangerous talk indeed.
You better watch yourself on the way out.
But you may or may not have been able to absorb, because you haven't been back very long from your holiday, the information that apparently the Chinese want to buy Liverpool Football Club.
Yes.
Now, this has been roundly rejected at the moment by Liverpool.
Yeah,
who said
owners,
the club is not for sale.
Right.
They've already got a billionaire owner in the shape of the gentleman who owns, the Boston mob. You know what I mean?
What?
You know the guy I'm talking about, John W. Henry.
John W. Henry.
That's right. So he said no, but the problem is...
Boston Red Sox you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. All the information we have is that the Chinese are not going to stop there. If they don't get Liverpool, they'll get somebody else. Now, this, to me, could be the start of a real global trend for China to start assuming great ownership over football and football activities football properties.
Well, did we not talk
in the world?
as well after the whole Brexit scenario that because of the value of the pound falling?
That's right.
Actually, it's a big opportunity for China.
Huge opportunity, because if Liverpool Football Club cost 1.3 billion before Brexit, it now only costs $1 billion.
Yeah.
Although I think it was valued at 750 million in this particular
it's not
deal.
quite up there, but it will be soon, won't it?
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, and so I want to know. I'm citing the Chinese government as the villains here, but
why are they the villains?
Well, because I don't want them to take over football in this country in its entirety.
But what if a Chinese owner or Chinese sort of shareholder came in to give Everton £1 billion to spend in the transfer market?
Yes, it'd be brilliant.
Yeah, you wouldn't mind that.
It'd be brilliant. Well, no. But the point is, what I'm saying is, they're going to use the vast amount of money that they have as leverage to move in the game in this country. Now, look, I'm not being Little Englander here. I know we have investors from America, from Russia, from India, from,
and from China already.
And from China already, and from the Middle East, of course, in the game. But I think at some stage you've got to say, look, let's do something about this. So I think that our own government
that'd be ridiculous.
should be looking at the situation.
Right.
Okay.
Well, this can only be judged by one man.
Indeed.
His name is Chambo.
That's right.
He's behind the glass. He can have some time to consider it.
Yeah, but not too much, because you won't need too much. I think it's pretty clear.
Do you think so?
I think so.
That was Heroes and Villains. We'll give you the result coming up very shortly. Good evening, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to the Two Mikes, and we're back from our sabbatical, and of course there's much more to come in this hour, including the Porky Sermon, a bit of spiritual guidance for you on a Sunday evening. Coming up a little bit later on, it's My Sporting Life with Daddy Kelly as well. You're listening to Two Mikes with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on TalkSport. Now, coming up very shortly, we will have the result of Heroes and Villains, and it'll be whispered in my ear, and I'll be able to partake it to you. What I want to talk to you, though, about is Zlatan Ibrahimovic, because I want you to cast your mind back to a few months ago when it was revealed that Zlatan might be coming to Manchester United. It took quite a long time. Nobody was really sure if it was going to happen. You, at the time, said that he should probably go to Manchester City and that he probably wouldn't be any good. Whereas he is now ignited.
Who said that?
You did.
No, I didn't.
And he has ignited. He has ignited Manchester United, as I said he would. I said he'd be the new Cantona. And what's he done? He scored pretty much every game he's played.
No, he scored 3 goals in 2 games.
Yeah, but he also scored in their opening friendly game as well.
Yeah, he did,
pre-season.
Yeah.
And the guy is a revelation.
Yeah.
And he's a character.
But I said he'd be all of that.
I said he'd be all
I did.
No, you didn't.
I did. I said once Jose Mourinho
I
gets
must
his
be
hands on
imagining
him.
that then.
No, you are imagining it. I'm telling you, you're imagining it. I thought he would perfectly fit in to the revolution at Manchester United, and it appears that is going to be the case. Okay.
Right. So, I mean, when we did our little video at the weekend, we're doing another one this weekend.
Yeah.
I also said that Manchester United would not let in any goals, didn't I? And I also said that Arsenal-Leicester would be a draw. You put out a very gracious tweet saying that I'd done rather well with my predictions.
Yeah, I did actually, because I'm like that. I'm that sort of a guy. Now,
I think you may have turned over a new leaf.
No, I
think that the sun and the swimming and the holiday atmosphere has changed you.
No, well, maybe. But I was rather treacherous to my own team last week while you were away. I did a slot with Hawksby and Jacob, my good friends Paul and
only one?
I think it was only one with them. Yeah, I did a few with other people, obviously.
Did you?
Yeah, but I was asked towards the end of the extensive slot I did with them. Sorry, what's your
Please
problem?
don't say that while I'm drinking water.
Yeah. Who did I think?
I'm amazed they keep putting you on for such a long period of time.
Why?
Well, because, they don't put anybody else on for that length of time.
It's. I think it's the blend.
Is that what it is?
It's the blend. I think the public pick up on
They've never asked me on the show.
I think the public pick up on the camaraderie and all this kind of stuff,
They've never asked me on the show.
Well, no, I can't answer.
Actually, I'll tell a lie. They did once ask me on the show, and I was on my way somewhere, because I remember talking from the back of a tube station.
Oh, yes.
It was something about Fleet Street.
Yeah, I think they probably knew.
But it was on the phone, though.
Oh, by the way, that Fleet Street documentary appeared with me in it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
How much of it ended up on the cutting room floor?
Not much. It was all... They used most
no,
of
that's
it.
not true.
No, they used
that
most
is not true.
No, they used it on a Saturday night.
No, rubbish. First of all, it was a Friday night.
No, it wasn't. It was Saturday.
They used it Saturday.
They used it Saturday.
Well, is that on that boring channel they've got where they have to fill airtime?
No. It was on the proper BBC News.
No, really?
It was on the BBC local news.
No, the local news.
Yeah.
It's not the proper news.
Well,
the local news is not the proper news.
Hang on. The BBC South East News, that covers about, 1/3 of the country, the most populated part of the country.
Absolutely rubbish.
No.
Anyway, you were interviewed for about half an hour, and you remember you were supposed to be going into some bar to continue the interview.
Yes.
And the woman said, no, that's fine.
No, she said you told me everything now.
Yeah, no, you thought that was some kind of compliment, that you'd done it brilliantly.
Yes.
Actually, it was because she wanted to get the hell out.
No, it wasn't, honestly. You got it all wrong.
No.
But anyway, the point of the story is...
Was it any good?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Brilliant. I haven't seen it, actually, but... no, but...
Is it on iPlayer? Can I have a look at it?
I think it'll be on iPlayer. Okay. I think you'll find it there. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put out a clarion call. If anybody saw it, could you please somehow send me a link to the clip?
Yes, please
so that I can watch it and ridicule Porky later in the week.
I didn't actually see it myself, but those who did said it was actually a marvellous piece of footage.
Really?
But anyway, the point is, so I think it was Andy who asked me, who did I think now was going to win the Premier League title? Uh-huh. And I said, on the basis of how he's revolutionised the place and Ibrahimovic has arrived and he's got Pogba and all that, I said, probably Manchester United.
Yeah.
What I should have said is Everton.
Why?
I? Because teams like Everton now can win the Premier League title.
Well, I mean, you're not going to see...
When I say teams like Everton, I mean clubs the size of Everton.
Well, what if clubs the size of Hull City could do something that Leicester did?
Well, they can't, can they?
Well, no, you see, again, you're doing what you did last year.
Yes.
People said Leicester couldn't do it.
Yes.
Every
that's
week.
True. Yeah.
Everyone kept saying, oh, no, they'll fall down. They haven't got the players. They haven't got the ability.
Respectfully, I would say Everton got a better chance. And I think Koeman is going to do a marvellous job for us. Now, old Lukaku...
Yes, who you wanted to get rid of.
No, I didn't want to get rid of.
Yeah, he did.
Has indicated he wants to stay, which is great. So we're going to talk to somebody about that.
So what's changed then?
What's changed is the way that I think what we saw at West Brom, everyone had a tremendous sense of self-belief, and self-belief is everything in football. That's what's changed, okay?
All right, so you think they're playing better then?
I thought you'd like to know that.
Okay, now let me read you this from Carl.
Yes,
Good
please
to see
do.
you giving Cal Crutchlow a shout-out. Brilliant riding, difficult weather, took a gamble and won.
Yeah.
Brave guy. Because
Yes.
you shouldn't forget that. It's a very dangerous sport that these guys are
of course
involved
it is.
themselves in.
It is.
Barry Sheen, I think, broke every bone in his body, didn't he, practically?
Do you know the last big crash he had? What happened was he came around a bend, okay, on these bikes. And I mean, these bikes are just inches off the ground when they're coming down these bends.
Yeah.
The knees of the leathers that these riders wear get torn away during the race.
Yeah.
And, you know...
Well, some of the crashes are unbelievable.
Well, I was about to say, he came round this bend, right, at a huge speed, and there was a bloke down, his machine was down on the road, and he hit it, Barry Sheen hit it, and when they got him to hospital... The surgeon said he'd never seen such a shattered leg bone.
Yeah.
It would be impossible to save his leg.
Right.
But through the diligence of the British
they put
doctors...
a big steel bar in it, practically, didn't
they didn't put a steel bar down it. What they did is they put about, I think it was 20 steel braces around it. And the doctor's quote actually was, he said it was like dealing with eggshells.
I remember seeing an X-ray picture
That's right,
in one of the newspapers at the time. Do you remember it? It was just, you couldn't believe that it could ever be rebuilt.
No, exactly.
Here's one from Whites who says, if Porky could backpedal the wrong way around the velodrome, Bradley Wiggins should be worried. Which is, I think, an interesting take on your position.
I see. Yeah,
well, because whenever I accuse you of saying something in the past, you just deny it.
No.
And Jim says this, Ryan Lochte should be a villain for using and inventing the word tantics.
Tantics?
Tantics, yeah. Well, that must be part of his statement.
Oh, really?
You know.
Well, it wasn't my fault.
I can reveal to you that the result is in.
Oh, right, good.
The result is in.
Right.
And the result is 3-1. Like, i.e., if you consider that there were four categories,
yes.
2 heroes, 2 villains,
yes.
the result is 3-1.
Yes.
Because Chambo says he liked one person's 3 things and another person's 1 thing.
Yes.
Who do you think's won?
I have.
No, incorrect.
No,
I've won.
No.
I've won by 3-1.
Rubbish.
I've won by 3-1.
No, you couldn't possibly.
I have.
You couldn't possibly have got 3 better candidates than me.
Well, I did because you went for the obvious one.
Hang on, Mike Dean was a brilliant candidate, okay?
If you think so.
Do you
want me to find, what the other Mike was? There was other Mike.
Yeah,
Mike
Phelan was a brilliant candidate, you know? And the villains, they were all brilliant as well. I'm telling you what, I might have to change the rules.
I'm told that the only one that you got correct was Mr. Costa.
Well, I mean,
you like that one?
That is absolutely disgraceful. Now then, there's one here from Scott. He says, "Great to have you back, chaps. Only 2 good old mates can have digs at each other like you do. Keep it up."
We don't like to read those out, though, even though we very much appreciate getting them.
Yeah.
But you like to read them out?
No. I just read them out because I think if people have got the time and the trouble to send us a communication, then the least we can do is at least float a few of them, okay?
Is that right?
Now, this one's from Shiv. This is good. It says, ha ha, Porky, I am doubled over with laughter. It was a pure belly flop. Absolutely shocking.
Yeah, it was.
And Ben says... Very interesting technique, Porky. Are you the 10-metre plank expert?
Yeah, well, I have to say, we may, as ever, whenever we do these videos, we find a rich kind of niche of areas. We should, one of the things that I wanted to do when you were in Spain was play ping pong with you.
Oh, yes.
Or table tennis, because both places I was at, we had a table tennis table. And it was great to play.
Where was the table tennis table? I didn't see it.
It was in the basement.
I didn't go into the basement.
No, I told you it was in the basement.
Oh, was it? Okay. Yeah.
They had a massive basement. You put the cars down there because you don't want to leave them out in the sun all day.
No, of course,
They're very, very hot.
Yeah, good idea.
And it was a huge area, and it's where all the kind of machinery was. Right. But also a table tennis table.
Okay.
There was another bathroom down there, and there was another fridge and a freezer. So we put all the booze down there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It was tremendous.
There's another one here, and it says, cordon bleu for Porky. Ham and cheese sandwich. Ho, ho, how wonderful is that? Well, I like ham and cheese sandwiches, so what's wrong with them?
There's nothing wrong with it, but if that's your preparation, that's your entire preparation for the first Edinburgh show we're going to do, I'm not sure it bodes well.
Yeah.
I think you might need a bit more kind of ballast, if you don't mind me saying so. It's a bit like carbo loading before one of our live shows. You have to eat enough so that the booze does not, have too much of an early effect.
Well, maybe. What are you
going to do, by the way, in Edinburgh during the days? Because obviously we get up there quite late on a Friday.
Yes.
Because we're doing a show here on Talk Radio.
Yes.
But on Saturday, during the day, what do you think? Are you going to do a bit of sightseeing?
Well, a bit of research, I think, because
research.
I need to know a little bit more about Edinburgh. You see, I think if anybody's coming to our show in Edinburgh, they'll be quite surprised at how it may be different to the live shows we've done in the past. Because the live shows we've done in the past have always been longer.
Yeah.
They've been up to 2 hours.
Yeah.
Excuse me, they've always contained some of our sort of stock, well, not sketches, but stories and
videos,
that kind of applications.
These
stories.
shows won't have any of that.
Well, they'll have a little bit, but not much.
Right.
But what we would like to do, which is not going to work on this week, is to make them very of the moment.
Oh, yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So there will be...
Contemporary.
There'll be things happening in the world, in Edinburgh, in the festival and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we feel that we can perhaps home in on that and examine that a bit more closely and react to it in the way that we do.
Yeah, right.
So that's what we're looking forward to.
Oh, okay, I'm looking forward to that as
Yeah,
well. See
exactly.
what I'm looking forward to as well?
Because
when the show finishes at 11 o'clock, I'm going to go home and watch the closing ceremony of the Olympics, because
Okay.
I feel as if it's completely passed me by. As I say, I mean, I've tried to keep up. I used to keep an eye
So
on the
why do
medal
you want to
table.
watch the closing ceremony?
Well, because I feel as though I haven't had a connection with it. You know, because
Why do you want a connection with it?
Well, because it's the Olympics. It only happens every 4 years.
Yeah.
And, you know...
And then people forget about it.
And also Team GB have done brilliantly, right?
Oh, I agree.
So I think it would be nice to get behind them.
What do you think about this idea that we're going to have an open-top bus parade for them when they come back?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I think that's a great idea
Particularly
as well.
since it's now been confirmed that they've come second.
Yes.
Which is an extraordinary feat, really.
It is an extraordinary
when you
feat.
think about
I agree. No, the one thing that I'm
to
not...
beat China into third place.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally agree. The one thing that I'm not into is the clamour and the demand that they've all got to be knighted. You know, all the successful people.
I think that's a bit over the top.
It's way over the top, because the point is we dish out far too many knighthoods as it is.
Yeah.
We all know that the Blair government, the first time round, started using knighthoods as bribes and promises and all that kind of stuff. I mean, to give Sir Alex Ferguson a knighthood on the night he won the European Cup started a trend whereby every
and that was all
time,
down to Alistair Campbell.
it was Alistair Campbell actually in the stadium that night, because it was in whose stadium was it? It was in Barcelona's, wasn't it?
Was it? No,
Who did they beat? Germany.
It was Barcelona. Yeah. What was it in a new camp?
It was the new camp, yeah. They beat Bayern Munich, didn't they? And he actually went down, fought his way through the crowd, and shouted over the heads of security guards, "Alex, do you want a knighthood?" That's the version I read, right? Okay. So that started...
But maybe that was just a joke, and then it kind of...
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a joke.
Steamrolled into something.
No, it wasn't a joke. No. He was doing it, I think, for his political masters. And then I think before that they'd already knighted Sir Geoff Hurst, which was very richly deserved. Not a problem there, but they were trying to use it then as kind of, who's popular? Let's make them even more popular, and then the public will thank us for recognising their popularity. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then every time after that, somebody
because
didn't think
politicians
good.
love to kind of sidle up to people that they consider the public see as heroes.
I'm amazed that my good mate Liam Gallagher wasn't knighted for being lead singer in a band that had
presumably he would have had to turn
series
it down.
of number one hits. Sorry,
he would have probably had to turn it down, wouldn't he? Given his hero John Lennon.
Well, John Lennon only sent his gong back as a protest to the Vietnam War, and the Vietnam War actually finished about 40 years ago, so I don't think there'd be a problem there.
Really? Okay.
No, yeah.
Well, we'll find out about that
Indeed.
coming up, because we've got to do the Porky Sermon. We've got to talk about Everton some more with Dominic King, who covers them. I'm going to find out from him whether he has the same optimism as Mr. Parry. This is TalkSport. This is TalkSport. We are the two Mikes. Got a tweet here from the Fridge Doctor, he calls himself.
Yeah.
He says you're going to need a bigger pool for your next holiday, Mike. Great to have you back on the airwaves.
That's very kind.
I'm going to have to get a bigger pool. And how about this one from Kenny? He says trials rider Dougie Lampkin is planning to ride the Isle of Man TT course, 37 miles, on his back wheel only.
On his back wheel only? What, like doing a wheelie?
Doing a wheelie, yeah.
Good God.
Amazing.
How can you do that for 37 miles?
37 miles.
God, blimey.
That'd be quite an achievement.
Do you know, you see that all the time. Funny enough, when I was coming in tonight in the old Merc, you know. And
still got it then, have you? You haven't got a better car yet?
No,
I thought you'd have got a better car by now.
Why?
Well, because, it's out of date. Something's going wrong. Tyres are all, blowing up.
I've only had it.
Hey, do you know what happened to me, by the way?
months. Yeah,
I had to park my car because my underground garage zapper is knackered. All right, so I couldn't put my car. The old
You're in the
jalopy,
batteries or now? You haven't replaced it?
No, well, it's worse than that. It's kind of coming apart.
Right, okay.
And I don't know how to replace it. I'm going to have to try and do it. But anyway, I tried to open the thing up on the Saturday before I went away to put my old jalopy in there, because I like to put it there for 2 weeks. It's the only time I use it. But I couldn't open it, so I had to leave it parked in a little private road.
Right.
I went back to get it. Went to start it this morning, so I thought I'd better start it before I'm going to get the dog. Make sure it was all fine, and it was fine.
Yeah.
But I noticed that somebody had twisted the windscreen wiper, into a sort of U shape.
Why?
I don't know. I think some kind of...
Does it still work?
Well, I mean, funnily enough, there was a guy standing down there having a cigarette.
Yeah.
Very nice guy, who's one of my neighbours who I'd never met before.
Okay.
And we started talking, and he said, we've had a lot of trouble with kids lately. He said, they've stolen a couple of things from me, a couple of bikes have been nicked. Must be some kind of just stupid vandalism.
Yeah.
And I said, but I don't know if I can drive it, because if it rains,
and
it
the
won't
windscreen
work.
doesn't work.
And he said, well, why don't you just try bending it back?
Yeah.
And so I did, and it did exactly that. It worked.
I see, yeah.
But why would somebody do that?
I've no idea. But are you saying you left the car on the street for 2 weeks?
Not on a public street. It's like a private road by the river.
I know it is, yeah, I see, yeah.
So it was. I mean, but I would have left it on a public street. I mean, you've seen the car. I mean, it's not like somebody's going to nick it.
Well, sure, yeah. Well, I mean, these things happen, don't they? And it is shocking to get involved in that sort of
Well, I'm
vandalism.
hoping it's not somebody who knows me who's playing some kind of horrible trick on me. But anyway, let's talk to Dominic King, who is our good friend from the Daily Mail, Everton fan, of course, expert on all things Merseyside. Dominic, a very good evening to you.
Evening, gents. Are we okay?
Yeah, very well. Sorry to keep you waiting there with the boring tales of our lives in general.
Exactly.
But
Not at all. It was fine.
Porky's very, very excited about Ronald Koeman. And even though he wanted Lukaku to be gone about 2 months ago, certainly during the Euros, he now thinks it's great that he's staying. I mean, what's your kind of assessment so far of the new regime?
Well, I just thought the first game against Tottenham. I mean, he had concerns about whether they were fit enough to play the type of football that he wanted. But the first 45 minutes in particular, it just reminded me of the Everton of old. Really, there was a buzz around the ground again, and they were playing fast football, and there was a lot of energy about the place. And I thought that the signs early on were very, very promising. I think a draw was fair on the opening day. They faded in the second half, but they've backed it up with a good win coming from behind against West Brom yesterday. So it's a very solid start.
I think it's very solid, Dom. And Dom, don't you think that we're all entitled? I'm talking about fans now of what I would say are middle-ranking clubs in this country. Everton and Spurs both sort of fall into that category. Don't you think that the fans are entitled to say, if Leicester can do it, why can't we?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I've been watching Everton professionally for the last 11 years, and there's been a lot of good. There's been a lot of good sides. They probably should have achieved more than what they did.
Yes.
I think if you've seen Swansea winning a League Cup, and Portsmouth winning FA Cups, and other such clubs getting to finals, and Everton should really have been to more than one final in the last decade, I think. And with the fan base and with the backing that they've got now, I don't think it's wrong to think that Everton should be capable of winning something, or certainly one of the cup competitions. It's definitely feasible to go for them.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, Dom, what is the story then behind Lukaku? Now, my colleague Mike Graham here says I wanted him gone.
You did?
I only wanted him gone if he didn't want to play for Everton anymore. You don't want to keep hold of a player who wants to move on, like John Stones. No problem at all. But now Lukaku has decided he wants to stay.
What, you mean money can't buy me stones?
Money can't buy me stones. That's the one. But I mean, what is the story behind that, Dom? Why has that happened?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I think, he's obviously he was agitating before the end of last season.
Yes,
I think his performance has dropped as well towards the end. I don't think anybody would dispute that. But Everton never had any bids for him, any concrete bids at all.
Yeah,
I think the fact that Costa stayed at Chelsea, and they bought Batshuayi, I think that's altered things. No bid came for him from the continent, so he is where he is.
Yeah.
So he hasn't changed his mind as such. He just didn't really have anywhere to go.
No. I mean, I think he's looked at the bigger picture and realised he can't get a move, and the fact that he is actually at a very good club where he will play every week.
Yeah.
He will, if he starts scoring goals regularly again like he did last season, then the adulation will follow. And listen, he's only 23, isn't he? He's got his whole career ahead of him. If he wants to play for somebody, then he's when I say one of the bigger clubs in Europe, then he's got to produce another season like last year when he scored 30 goals.
Indeed. What do we think now about the goalkeeper situation, Dom? Because one of the players who really has impressed me, I was up for the first game against Spurs. He made 2 great saves in that game. Stekelenburg. Stekelenburg, isn't it, Dom?
Stekelenburg, yeah.
Yeah, Stekelenburg, that's right, yeah. Now, is this sort of, a magic appointment by, a magic signing by Koeman? Because he's obviously, known him through his the Dutch circles and all that. And does that mean now they'll put on hold any plans to try and tempt Joe Hart there on loan or whatever?
I'm not sure. I wouldn't like to say that they would rule that out. I mean, I think the fact that Stekelenburg played so well last week.
Yeah, you're saying it now.
Things. Yeah, no.
Stekelenburg.
No, I think the fact that he played so well last week sort of put not doubts in people's minds, but maybe left them thinking that he would probably be. He might be able to see the season through as number one. But listen, if Joe Hart if there's a chance to get Joe Hart, and there's a willingness on his part to move, then I would think it has to be an option that they look at. The very interesting.
Can they afford Joe Hart, rather? John Hart.
I would think. Well, his wages, the wages that he's on now, would be far in excess of what anybody else is on at Goodison. So I would think there would have to be a compromise between the two clubs there.
Well, it'd be a bit like the Spurs situation when they got what's his face down from Manchester City. Do you remember?
Who?
The African guy.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Manchester City paid his wages for ages.
Yeah.
You know who I mean, don't you?
I do know.
I've said it to you, haven't I?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name. Yeah, we know what we're talking about, don't we?
Yeah, I think so.
The guy played for Arsenal, played for Spurs.
Yeah.
Played for Manchester City.
Adebayor.
There you go. Crystal Palace now, right? Is he still there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know who's there. But anyway, just looking at the other side of Merseyside, Dom, there's a story today about a Chinese consortium trying to build Liverpool. Can I tell you something that shocked me? When I went up there last week, I got the taxi down to Goodison, past the cemetery as usual, and I saw this huge building on the other side of the park. And I thought, I've not noticed that before. What is it? And then realised, to my chagrin, it's Liverpool's new main stand.
Yeah, no, it's an absolutely enormous in terms of where you can. I mean, you know the area, Mike. I mean, you can now see it from if you stand on the at the pier front of New Brighton. You can see it dominating the skyline from the other side of the water.
Golly, that's incredible! Really,
we were over there with the kids,
but that's the other question I'd ask about Everton. I mean, supposedly this new owner has come in,
yes,
and he's got this £100 million war chest.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's meant to be bringing a whole new kind of amount of money into Everton Football Club. Is that actually happening, Dominic? Are you seeing that, or is it sort of another one of these? We're going to have more money, but it doesn't really work out that way.
No, I think the way they've been operating so far in the market. I mean, I know they've obviously got money in from Stones and whatnot, but they can be aggressive now. They can pay fees that they probably wouldn't have been able to in the past. He is obviously Farhad Moshiri's ambitious, and he wants to see Everton competing at the highest end. But I would think and he's made it clear that he will look at the ground in due course. But I would think the immediate thing to do is get the team in order first and get the team moving before they start looking at a new stadium.
So what's your best guess where Everton finished this season, Dominic, and what would be considered a success for Koeman? I mean, I don't think they're going to make top 4. I think that's ridiculous. But I mean, anywhere in the sort of top 7.
No, I don't think top 4. I think three of those places are going to be Man United, Man City, Chelsea. Even at this early stage, I think after 2 rounds we can see what's going to happen. I think as long as they're around in 8th to 6th, I'm pushing. Just being challenging again, and then I mean, last season there was so. It could have been so much better than it turned out.
Yes.
I thought, before Christmas that Everton were going to really achieve something substantial.
Yeah.
And it never turned out that way. But I just think they've got a manager with a pedigree in now, and it's going to take time for his message to pay off. But between 6th and 8th, I think that would represent success.
Well, I just want to win a cup competition. We've had so many years of, nearly winning and not winning.
Actually not winning.
Not winning, yeah,
not nearly
exactly,
winning.
yeah. So I want to win a cup competition. I'd settle for 6th and the FA Cup.
All right.
Well, why not?
Exactly.
Dominic, thank you very much indeed. Dominic King there from Daily Mail talking about Evans. He didn't sound that optimistic, actually, and now you've suddenly sounded less optimistic when you started.
No. He's measured about it. That's his job. He's got to weigh up the situation. I'm just driven by enthusiasm.
Why are you leaning so far back?
Sorry, he's driven by pragmatism. I was just considering my position.
Oh, right.
The situation.
I would consider your position if I were you. Look at the time instead. Porky Sermon coming up next.
Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as ho-ho-hos.
This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mikes. There will be a podcast out in the morning. Matthew has tweeted at the Two Mikes. He says, Stick Ellenberg. Good to see Porky's back on top form.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that's how it's spelled.
It's Stecklenburg.
Stecklenburg.
Yeah, but it's Stecklenburg.
Well, how do you know?
How do I know?
You're an expert in the pronunciation of the Dutch language.
Because when I said to Dominic, is it not Stecklenburg? Is it not correct? He said, yes, it is Stecklenburg.
Yeah, okay.
And he is an expert.
Yes.
So there you are.
Right.
And here's one having a go at me from Lord Rallo. Bladderation side effects are kicking in on old MG. He almost sounds like El Planco.
What?
In terms of the Adebayor situation.
Yeah, well, we don't know who El Planco is. So
that's you.
We'll
El Planco is you.
No, we'll gloss over that one. Right, now then.
Now then what?
Now then, it's time.
It is time. It's time for the Porky Sermon. Now, obviously, you'll be rushing off to midnight mass, presumably, after this, won't you?
No.
In order to continually kind of cleanse yourself
of
any evil thoughts.
No, I purify my mind on a regular basis, daily basis.
Yeah, what, with Pinot Grigio?
Almost hourly basis, really.
Yeah,
the only time I go to midnight mass is on Christmas Eve.
Do you?
Yeah.
When was the last time you did that?
About 1974.
Right. For those who have never heard the Porky Sermon, is a selection of readings from the Good Book, as it is sometimes known.
Yes.
This is a late night Sunday sermon, so it may have a slightly different flavour.
Okay.
Here's where I read a piece of prose to Mr. Parry, and he interprets it for everybody.
Tell you what it's about.
Are you ready for me to start?
Indeed.
This one comes from Matthew 6.
Matthew 6, I know
chapter 25.
Yeah, I know. I know what this is about. Yeah.
Verses 25 to 34.
25, 34, yeah.
Therefore, I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? And which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to his span of life? And why are you anxious about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin, yet, I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good, that, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's quite deep.
Okay.
Would you like to give us your interpretation
Well,
of it?
I know this passage very well, and I can tell you what it's all about, you know. Therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing?
Yes.
Now, what this is all about is humility.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, it's a big subject for you.
It's humility. This is about life as a humble man, life as one of, the Almighty's servants, as we all are. But
you might be.
What makes you special above other followers of the Almighty? You see what I mean? So what I'm saying is,
the Almighty.
Yeah. What we have to. Sorry, we're laughing. You take
this reminded me of Padre Parry.
Yeah.
You always referred to the Almighty.
Yeah, the Almighty. Yeah. But now the don't be anxious bit is that of course is a message that the Almighty will look after you.
Yes.
If you are a disciple of the Almighty looks after you. Okay. Oh, do you know what? I'll tell you something in a minute as well, which is very interesting.
Yeah, stick with the sermon.
Yeah. Now then, look at the birds in the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns. And
he's not wrong about that, isn't he?
No.
They do gather into barns.
No.
Onto barns anyway.
Well, barn owls gather in barns. That's why they're called barns. That's why they're called owls. Barns, yeah.
No, but I've seen birds gathering onto barns. Like I've got a barn near me in Sussex.
Yeah, sure.
And they go on the top of it.
Yeah, well, they do go a bit on top of it. That's only on the roof of the barn. They don't actually go into the barn, if you see what I mean.
Okay.
And so what that means is that they are provided for by the land.
Yes.
You know, they reap and sow and all that. When you scatter seed and all that, birds sometimes swoop down and take it up, okay?
Yeah.
Now, are you not of more value than they?
Yeah.
No. We're all God's creatures in God's eyes, you know.
Well, he's
God
saying
loves
we
all
are
the
of
little
more
children.
value. Hang on, Matthew's saying we are of more value.
Are you not of more... No. Are you not of more... Yes, well, what he means there, of course, is that, yes, of course, human beings are of more value in the sense that they can look after the birds.
Right.
The birds can't look after human beings, so to that extent they are.
Yeah.
But we're all, we're all in the eyes of God, God's children.
Yeah.
God loves all the little children, all the children in the world, in the yellow, white and blue. The yellow, white and red... what does he say? Something about, they're all good in the head or something. Something like that. But
I don't think that's what he says.
Anyway, and which of you by
good
being...
in the head.
Yeah. Well, I know, something
It's all
like
good in the hood.
And which of you by being anxious can add a single hour to his span of life? Now, all that means is, don't fight it. There's nothing you can do about it. Life comes, life goes.
Yeah.
The Almighty...
Don't be anxious.
The Almighty's looking after you. There's nothing you can do about it. It's like one of those... Excuse me. It's like one of those alcoholic recovery programs, the 12 steps and all that.
I'm not familiar with it.
And the first thing you say to yourself is calm, because if something's gone wrong, it's no good crying over spilt milk. There's nothing you can do about it, okay?
Yeah, okay.
And then the last bit, and why are you anxious about clothing?
Yeah.
Well, you see, what this is an indication of is...
Don't waste your money on Pierre Cardin shirts.
No, don't think you're superior to your fellow man just because you're wearing a £650 suit and the guy next to you is wearing something from Marks and Spencer's. Right. Doesn't make you any better,
well, you were worried on the plane. You looked like a bum.
Well, I was actually. I was sitting next to a very glamorous woman. Yeah. Consider the lilies of the field.
Oh, yeah.
How they grow.
Yeah.
They neither toil nor spin. So what it means is that lilies in the field are inanimate objects. There's nothing they can do except grow.
Well, they look beautiful, I think.
Yes, they do, but they just grow. You see what I mean? They don't have to work for a living, neither do they have to look for food or anything like that.
Right.
And he's saying that, many of us, God's creatures, are like that, okay?
Yeah.
Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these, okay? It's all about King Solomon.
He was very wise, wasn't he?
He was a wise guy.
Yeah.
Wise guy.
Well, he wasn't a wise guy.
Yeah.
No, he was not one of us.
No. I mean, he wasn't.
He's not a friend of ours.
No, he wasn't a wise guy in the sense of that TV insurance advert. You're a wise guy.
Yeah.
You got a flat, you're a
wise
guy.
No, but wise guys is a
I got no insurance. I'm not such a wise guy.
A member of organised crime.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Solomon definitely wasn't that.
No, definitely not that.
He had some mines, though, didn't he?
He
had some mines.
No, that was a film with
King Solomon's Mines.
King Solomon's Mines, yeah. But that was a film starring Stuart Granger, actually, and it was filmed in the land where King Solomon's Mines were, which was, I think it was Ethiopia, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Was something like that?
Well,
somewhere in Africa, anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's an interpretation.
Is that
yes, that's what it all means. It's about humility.
Yeah.
It's about not seeking to be better than your fellow man, and it is about actually, the hand that life has dealt you is irrevocable. And you can't do much about it. That's right.
Irrevocable.
Yeah.
Very good. That was the Porky sermon. Yeah. I'm sure you all feel, as I do, uplifted by the words of wisdom emanating from Mr. Porkmeister. This is Talk Sport.
Indeed.
Hey! The sun goes down like a bad dream. You end up tight. Gotta let off steam. They say they can break you again and again. If life is a radio, turn up to 10. It's a crazy night.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. We are on Talk Radio all week from 10 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon, so make sure you don't miss that. And I think that's going to be replayed overnight as well here on Talk Sport. A couple of people have made, shall we say, reactions or given reactions to the Porky sermon.
Yes.
Andrew says this: do you only have Nicaea, holy, 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 to play on his sermon? I think that's a piece of music he's talking about.
Is that holy, holy, holy?
No, I think it's the one we were playing.
Holy,
the organ
holy,
music.
holy.
The organ
that one,
music.
is it? Yeah.
Well, I mean, we don't choose the music.
I've got a very rude one
Chosen
here
by
from some guy
celestial,
called Pete, and he says, I think I'd rather listen to Porky Vision. The Porky sermon is pants.
I don't agree.
You know, I don't agree.
It was very good.
It was very,
He gets hashtag low point of the week.
yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
I'm having that.
Well, no, because we're here all week. There'll be many more low points, I can tell you.
Well, that's right, yeah. Now, what I was going to say to you was, right, what I was going to say to you was...
What were you going to say?
When I was in Chester last week while you were away...
Yes. Did you notice that it had changed a lot? I mean, you probably haven't been there for a while, right?
No, not really. It's you know, they do spend a lot of time preserving it because it's a very historical city. But anyway, I went to a pub called the Pied Bull.
Oh, yeah.
And the Pied Bull is not very far from the Town Hall Square.
Right. And so is that area sort of preserved, if you like?
Well, no, not really. It's kind of pedestrianised now, but it's kept up. But the reason I went there is because as a newspaper reporter in my first role, I used to cover the Chester Magistrates Court, which was in the Town Hall.
Right.
And what used to happen at lunchtime was, if there were, you know, a couple of cases hanging over to the afternoon, go to the Pied Bull and the clerk of the court was always there, getting tanked up, you know.
Should he have been doing that?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean,
wasn't he required inside?
Well, no, this is... you had a lunch break, you know, between sort of 1 and 2 o'clock or something like that. Right. So he'd get in there and he'd get, you know, stuck in. And then he'd tell you about a load of exciting cases coming up that week, you see what I mean?
Okay.
And so...
did you have to ply him with drink for this
Yeah,
kind of
you did,
information?
yeah. But, I mean, this is my
It'd
first...
be against some kind of law, that now, wouldn't it?
I'm sure it would be, but it's my first inroad into, you know, sort of learning how to acquire information.
Bladderation.
Through bladderation.
Information through bladderation.
Information through bladderation, thank you very much indeed. And and he was very happy, you know, to say, oh, there's a great case coming up on Wednesday. Oh, what's that? You know, oh, this guy, you know, was found, this one was at home, she was with a neighbour, and the husband came home, hit him with a hammer, and all this kind of stuff, you know. So he'd actually had the stories before. Yeah, that's right, yeah, it was really good.
I'm laughing.
No, exactly, you know. So, but anyway, point of the story is, I thought, I'll go in there and just see what it's like, and it's changed for the better. It's like a coaching in now. They've restored a lot of it. Yeah. But the point of my story is,
what is the point?
In the piped music,
the show's nearly over.
Yeah, in the piped music, the song came on, the John Lennon song, Across the Universe. Nothing's going to change my world and all that. Now, I don't know why, but for the last 40 years or 45 years, I've wondered what the chorus line meant.
Right.
Jackaroo, Dame One.
Yes, I've often wondered that. It's a great cover. Well, why did you suddenly start doing the French thing?
No, that's it. That is the chorus. Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, David Bowie did a great version of that.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Tremendous.
So anyway, guess what I did with modern technology in my pocket? I get my old phone out, right, and I look it up.
Yeah.
And I should have done
this. It's always a good way to find out the answers to things.
Exactly. I should have done this 45 years ago.
Yeah.
And Jai Karuv Daimwa is Hindu for Guru is our teacher, and we love him.
Okay.
And because at the height of the sort of the
was this when they were involved with the Maharishi?
Yeah, exactly, the Indian phase and all that kind of stuff. It was all written then. Although that song wasn't released until Let It Be, which was 2 albums later.
Right.
After the White Album,
he'd sort of fallen out with him, hadn't he?
They'd fallen out with everybody. Yeah, he'd actually called him a fraud and all that kind of stuff, you know. But the White Album, Abbey Road, came out, and then the last one was put together by Phil Spector.
Yeah.
It was a load of cuttings off the cutting room floor and bung together, and Let It Be emerged, you know. And it was put together. But I never knew that.
Well, of course, 40 years ago, you couldn't look it up on your phone.
No, I suppose you couldn't. No, and not many people had like Hindu translation books and all that kind of stuff.
No, well, they would have had. Let me just interrupt you for a second. Marin Cilic has beaten Andy Murray in the final of the Cincinnati Open. 6-4, 7-5.
Yeah, well, that's
so sort of the honeymoon's over.
That
really,
would have been the 4th consecutive competition he'd have won.
Yeah,
he hasn't lost a game in his last 3 competitions.
Well, he did brilliantly in the Olympics, didn't he?
He did brilliantly in the Olympics. He won Wimbledon, and he's won something else since.
Yeah,
he's
won like 22 matches in a row. Or
something like that. Yeah, so that's a great shame. But all good runs like that have to come to an end.
Yeah.
So I find that quite appealing.
Appealing? Why?
Well, because
of the spiritual nature of it.
Well, you know, so many times you hear a line in a song and you don't think it is Hindu. It's just that you can't quite make out what it is, and people put strange interpretations
on it.
I
mean, I'd never heard it pronounced that way. I mean, I think when you sing it and you're kind of a fan of one kind or another,
that's right.
You just sort of sing different words that sound like it.
Exactly.
I didn't recognise it as an Indian word at all.
Well, I didn't, and that's why I looked it up, and I thought I must find out what that means.
I thought it was some kind of Liverpudlian thing. To be honest.
Well,
like Jacaranda.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you know, Allah, right there, La,
and all that.
No, but it actually means Guru is our God and we love him. No, Guru is our teacher and we love our God.
Right.
You know, and that's what it's all. It's all about the spiritual thing about love and peace, man, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but I thought it was very interesting. And in the book that I have at home, which examines in detail every single Beatles track, right?
Which book is that?
It's called what's it called? It's called I can't remember, but I'll take a picture of it tonight.
Okay.
And I'll show it on the show tomorrow.
But I mean, is it written by somebody who's a sort of a known source on this stuff?
It's written by a Beatles expert and a man who's got hold of the published texts of every Beatles song and who played on the drums.
You mean the lyrics?
Well, not just the lyrics, but I mean, how many
studio notes and all that.
Yeah, studio. How many studio session musicians there were on it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Journo. Yeah, I mean, this is how I found out that the Beatles never played a single note on Eleanor Rigby.
Yes,
because the studio comprised of an orchestra, a string orchestra that George Martin hired, and the Beatles didn't have to play anything because he didn't want any guitars in it. But anyway,
so was that the story then?
That's the story.
I was thought you were going to tell us something interesting about Chester.
Well, no, that is interesting.
It is, but it's not about Chester.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's lots of interesting things I could have told you. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you it was interesting.
Yeah, go on.
I'll tell you it was interesting. Before I went to Chester, I went out for dinner with a friend of mine.
Oh, yeah.
In a place called Cheam in Surrey.
Oh, yes. Was this your assignation?
Yes, my assignation,
This is something else you've been quite quiet about.
Yeah, and guess what?
How did that go?
Well, it went very well.
How would you describe very well?
Well, it was very cordial, put it that way, and it's an ongoing situation, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, you get a lot on your hands at the moment.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, but two strange things happened. We were in a pub. We went to Pizza Express for dinner.
What a charmer.
Well, no, I mean,
I thought this was somebody that you wanted to try and impress.
No.
So you took them to Pizza Express?
Yeah, but before we did Pizza
Did you get one of those pizzas with a hole in it, a salad?
No, I've never seen one of those.
Oh, really? Well, they did these diet pizzas.
Oh, well, they are. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to a pub before the
main event.
Before the main event, that's absolutely right. Yeah, and
what a shambles you are.
No.
What do you take her there for?
No.
Why don't you take her to a nice restaurant?
No. It was nice. I just wanted to go. She said she liked pizza, so I go. So we're in this pub, right? And I mean middle-aged couple.
Yeah.
I don't mean
early middle age.
No, just middle age.
Yeah.
Just it could have been any ordinary couple, so to speak, and the least likely sort of typical two mics listener you could ever come across in your life.
Well, actually, I don't think there's such a thing.
I think you're right, but I mean, they're a very respectable couple.
Yeah.
And as I was, we were sitting at a high table having a drink.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I thought they got up to leave, and they didn't. They came over and they said, "Excuse me, how much my radio and all that kind of stuff." Really nice couple.
Yeah.
And they wanted a picture, and we did the picture, and that was great, right?
Well, all four of you.
No, just the three of us, actually. They weren't really interested in the
so you just blocked her, pushed her out of the way.
Well,
This is a great night out for her, isn't it?
Oh, no.
So, hello, darling. We'll go to the pub for a while, during which time I'll push you out of the way because there'll be fans there who want their picture taken with me.
Yeah, well, you see...
And then they'll just want to talk to me, and you can just sit there.
Yeah, but it got...
And then, don't worry, we'll go to Pizza Express afterwards.
It got worse for her because... unfortunately, because what happened next was we go over to Pizza Express.
Right.
It's a very warm night. And initially, they tried to put me on a table near the entrance to the kitchen.
Right, near the ovens.
Well, that's right. So anyway, I said, look, with the greatest respect, I don't like this table very much, thank you. And I have this young lady with me, and I think we'd prefer to sit over there. And he said, oh, well, that's, quite a unique table. It's in the window, near the open window.
Right.
And I said, yeah, that'll do me. And they said, well, so I, flashed a bit of incentive, if you see what I mean.
Well, you've got the old rollout.
Well.
The wedge.
Well, and...
the porky wedge.
well, whatever.
So now you show it off to this woman, right?
No, but fortunately, within 10 minutes, the people who were on the table left.
Right,
so I said, that's our table.
So you could take the money back.
Yeah, but guess what happened?
What?
It was remarkable. A chap was walking past, right? No joke.
Outside. So you're in the window.
Yeah, well, yeah.
In the window. Seat,
And it's got almost a whole open window, but there's about a foot or two of of wall or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, you mean there's no glass?
No, they'd been slid back. They'd slid the windows back.
Okay, right.
So but there's about a foot or two of below the window.
Yes,
you know what I mean? This guy walks past. and then something must have clicked in his head because he turned round, came back, and climbed through the window onto our table. Yeah.
She must have been a bit bemused by all this.
Exactly.
I mean, did she look upset?
Well, no, but I was, because I thought this guy was a nutter. I thought, what on earth is he playing at, but he said, oh, Porky, I'm just...
She's sober.
And he was, believe it or not, but he was so anxious not to miss me.
Right.
I said, why didn't you come in through the door? He said, you might have got up and left.
So did you do a picture with him?
Yes, did a picture with him, yeah.
You pushed her out of the way again?
Well, no, he asked me to go outside and do the picture with him.
So you went outside, left her in the table?
Yeah, I had to, yeah.
What a shocking way to treat somebody.
I was pushing him back out the window, you see, and I said, look, do you mind? And all this kind of stuff,
So I presume this date won't be repeated then?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure, because young lady went home in a car afterwards and it seemed to be fine, so I'm not sure. But it was quite eventful.
You didn't have a sort of an aperitif anywhere? Not an aperitif, a digestif, maybe? Sort of after
No, not really. No, it was quite like
What did you have for pizza? Did you have ham and pineapple?
Yes, I did, yes. Why do you find that so funny? I like ham and pineapple.
Because it's one of my kids' favourite pizzas.
Oh, is it? Well, I like that. I love it, yeah. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it.
Well, hang on, your kids eat chocolate bars and you eat chocolate bars.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean
it's
that,
not the same.
Doesn't mean you're a child because you eat a chocolate bar.
It's not the same.
Anyway, last thing is, when I went to Chester and I was down at the boathouse...
half a minute.
I foolishly tweeted out where I was at the boathouse and then the hordes started arriving.
Hordes?
Yes.
Like how many?
3.
3?
Yeah. Sorry, what's the problem?
I got recognised in Daya, which is where they did film the Night Manager.
Oh, no, indeed, yeah.
Yeah, a guy walked past when I was eating my sardines
Yeah.
and said...
I didn't tweet out I was in the boathouse, I just tweeted out a picture of it, and people picked up on it immediately.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you mention me in any of these encounters?
No, you weren't there.
All right. Marvellous. What a lovely thought about that is.